In the morning, you got me up all cause you need to talk. To 4 in the evening, wanna break up, say that you've had enough. I'm tired of talking, again and again, argue about everything. You are my darling, this kiss and make up, I know you wanna touch. You call me every night, call me every day, I just wanna get you alone now. Trust me when I say, we gon' be okay, we just gotta boom bada boom ba. I don't wanna fight, you know that I'm right. Baby, let me talk to your body. We gon' be okay, hear me when I say.
As you hand me the door, we got by. Falling just like these snowflakes, tumbling down, round and around. I'm falling just like these snowflakes, falling for you, falling for you. Have you counted on love for Christmas? This caught me right off guard, but I ain't complaining. It's a wonderful present, a gift that comes in the shape of a heart. And I'm falling just like these snowflakes, tumbling down, round and around. I'm falling just like these snowflakes, falling for you, falling for you. And if I were to make a wish upon a star, would it be too much to ask? I'll place forever in your arms, and for this moment to last, because I'm falling just like these snowflakes, tumbling down, round and round. And I'm falling just like these snowflakes, falling for you. I'm falling for you. I'm falling for you. Just like these snowflakes, tumbling down, round and round. I'm falling for you. Just like these snowflakes, falling for you. Yes, it's true. I'm falling for you.
Sleigh bells ringing, diamonds blinging, carols singing, favorite season. Sleigh bells ringing, diamonds blinging, carols singing, favorite season. They said Saint Nick, but you got a bit in that bag, yeah. I got racks in my sack, in my bag, yeah. They said Saint Nick, but you got a bit in that bag, yeah. I got racks in my sack, in my bag, yeah. chosen, neck is frozen. Catch me rolling, I'm the chosen. Snow is falling, Elfie's calling. Check my list twice, most of y'all done. Sleigh bells ringing, diamonds blinging, carols singing, favorite season. Sleigh bells ringing, diamonds blinging, carols singing, favorite season. They said, say Nick, what you got up in that bag, yeah. I got racks in my sack, hurt my back, yeah. They said, say Nick, what you got up in that bag, yeah. I got racks in my sack, hurt my back, yeah. Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, and Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donner, and Blitzen. No, I can't forget about the one with the red nose. When I fly high, my sleigh still stay 10 toes. Bring the beat, bring the trees, put the lights up. 'Tis the season. Need no Grinch types, no Ebenezer. Don't believe this. Y'all need Jesus. Sleigh bells ringing, diamonds blinging, carols singing, favorite season. Sleigh bells ringing, diamonds blinging, carols singing, favorite season. They said, say Nick, what you got up in that bag, yeah. I got racks in my sack, hurt my back, yeah. They said, say Nick, what you got up in that bag, yeah. I got racks in my sack, hurt my back, yeah. They said, say Nick, what you got up in that bag, yeah. I got racks in my sack, hurt my back, yeah. They said, say Nick, what you got up in that bag. I got racks in my sack, hurt my back. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Hold up, I am on my way, I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing. Yeah, isn't that amazing? In Christmas times, we'll be chilling and having a good time. Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the wind blows and the rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas in my heart. But this year I wanna hang out with my friends and family, making angels in the January. Doesn't matter, it's Christmas in my heart. And I can promise Santa's coming to visit. No, he wouldn't miss this in Christmas times. Oh, and the sun said it is just getting better on a blanket with the skyline painted in blue. Ooh, yeah, that's what we do. We'll be chilling and having a good time. Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the wind blows and the rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas in my heart. But this year I wanna hang out with my friends and family, making angels in the January. Doesn't matter, it's Christmas in my heart. Here we go. All right. Now this Christmas, we're gonna dance. We're gonna dance, come on. We're gonna dance, have a good time, dance, all night long. We're gonna dance, and have a good time. I think Santa's gonna come and join us in this song. Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the wind blows and the rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas in my heart. But this year I wanna hang out with my friends and family, making angels in the January. Doesn't matter, it's Christmas in my heart.
sun, it's Christmas. The fire crackling gently all the while. Snow is falling down. Guess everything's just right. But I'll be wishing you were here with me. Everywhere I go, it's Christmas. A town filled with wonder and delight. The season to rejoice brings everybody close. But I'll be missing you right next to me. Feels kinda lonely when you're a million miles away. But maybe there's a star to lead the way. 'Cause I wanna hold you when Santa's.
All right, brothers, get your pens and papers ready. We're about to have a fire show again on today. We're about to have another power show on today, guys. I need you guys to share the content. Yesterday left some dark despair in our hearts. And we're going to review this because there appears to be a lot of things going on in our community as black men. And we're going to explore the dynamics associated with the killings that you guys saw with that young man. This show is going to be dedicated to the Zennials and the Millennials because it's time for me as an elder to talk to the young men. This show is going to more or less help me highlight some of the stresses that some of these young men are going through. And we're going to see if any of the men that we're talking to have struggled with homicidal thoughts or suicidal thoughts as well. Get your pens and your papers ready, and let's enjoy this show. Get ready. Bringing it to you live once again from the greatest state in the Union, the Tar Heel State, where the topography is serene, pristine, and verdant green, where every day is Father's Day, and where manhood is part of hills and valleys, victories and failures, and whereas men, we don't agree on all things or ideologies, but tonight we come together as allies of a common cause only to dissipate once the crisis is over. Now listen, I'm about to drop some fire for your mind. But before I drop that fire, let's explore why we are doing the Manhood Chronicles. All right, guys, we're going to have a powerful conversation on today. The conversation is going to hearken upon the show that we did on yesterday, talking about the unconscious simp and the spirit of the dodo bird. But this show is going to be dedicated to my millennials and zennials because many of you young men have never had older men to hear your stories, to hear your pains, or to hear your cries. The show that we had yesterday left a negative imprint on the hearts and souls and minds of many men because so many men suffer in silence and there's no one there to tell their story. How many of you young men are suffering from suicidal ideation? Because you don't have the proper healthy coping skills to deal with that toxic relationship that you're in. You don't have the proper coping skills to deal with the community that you're living in. You don't have the proper coping skills to deal with the trauma from your past. How many of you guys have had homicidal ideations based on what we saw yesterday? The show is more or less going to be a dichotomy between my dear friend, the American Brazilian, and the joy that he's experiencing now, because after years and years and years of trying, he felt like he couldn't get the woman of his dreams or a woman to cooperate in this toxic cesspool called America. And then we're going to use another part as art imitates life, because Marvin Gaye did a song back in the 70s. He said, "Make me want to holler," the way they do my life. And Marvin Gaye was talking about social injustice. And as there is a social injustice that relates to parental alienation, the child support system, and also some of these toxic relationships, a lot of men are saying, "Make me want to holler," the way they do my life. But today is the time for empowerment. Today is the time for empowerment. And I'm not the Reverend Ike. I'm the kosher clinician. And I'm going to bring some fire for your mind, because if a man feels like he doesn't have options, he feels hopeless. And what you guys saw happen on yesterday was a signs of a hopeless man. As I said in the past, a hopeless man is a broken man. And a broken man is a very dangerous man. That man was dangerous when he went on a torrent or went on a killing spree that eventually took his life. And some of you brothers are dealing with some of the same mental thoughts and pathologies that this man have dealt with, but here's the difference. You guys have used, or more or less learned to use, healthy coping mechanisms. You didn't turn your implosion to an explosion, which in essence took the life of someone else. This show carried a lot of mixed commentary. This show was more or less pontificated by many men. Shout out to my man, Dr. Ron Neal, for giving me the clip. And we're going to review it again. We're going to talk about the thoughts that you had in your heart and in your mind when you saw this man. This man is more or less similar to a lot of men in America. They have got with toxic women. They have got more or less with a caustic court system that holds the men accountable, but does not always adequately hold our women accountable. And we could make the argument that he should have got with these dusty women. That's true. But we can also make the argument that the course needs to be more or less fair as it relates to men and male suffering. When men suffering in silence, that implosion can turn to an explosion, which in essence can lead to, as I said, suicidal or homicidal ideation. And we don't talk about it until it's too late. We don't talk about the pain of so many men until it's too late. Marvin Gaye talked about it better than I could talk about it, because Marvin Gaye was suffering. Marvin Gaye wrote a song back in the 70s called Anger. And I'm going to go over those lyrics in a minute. But also we're going to talk about, as men, we find solutions. And the American Brazilian found solutions in the form of his beautiful Afro-Latin wife, Talita. Because see, some of you guys are juxtaposing between Marvin Gaye when you want to holler, and some of you guys are juxtaposing between suffering and silence. But some of you guys are about to be liberated as you're about to get your passport. Because some of you guys have come to the conclusion that you are traditional and conservative by nature, and you want a traditional conservative woman. But the case remains that many feel that many women in modern America are not traditional and or conservative. And because of that chasm, many men are saying, I'm going to explore my options like the American Brazilian. You can see the joy in this man's eyes. He was on my show a while ago, and he added a lot of clarity to why men are beginning to see world travel as a way to SYSBM, save yourself, black man. And so as a clinical therapist, we know that needs drive behaviors. Those needs can be good or bad. But when a person is not getting their needs met, it can lead to good or bad behavior. Or actually can lead to bad behavior. And so in behavior modification, in order to more or less reduce negative behavior, you need a good stimulus. But what modern men are saying is that they don't have that stimulus, sadly, and some of the women that they choose here in America. And as I said earlier, I'm not Reverend Ike, I'm the kosher clinician. And I told you guys that there are 7 steps that a man must go through in order to become an optimized male. One of those is understanding female psychology, how female psychology can impact the mental and physical health of a man, but also the great power of liberation in the form of world travel. When you guys begin to travel abroad, I'm not saying that world travel is the great elixir or the panacea to your issues, because at a woman's core, women universally are the same. Women want men to be men. A woman wants provision, protection. She wants to be loved. And she wants a man that has a plan. The problem is that we explored in the show yesterday, black men have very low standards because they demand nothing. And I've said this slogan by Frederick Douglass many times, that power never conceded to anything without a struggle. It never have, and it never will. To the 20 that are listening, I want you guys to share the content. Get the likes up, because I'm going to drop some fire for your mouth. We're going to take anecdotal notes as it relates to an American Brazilian. You're going to see the joy in his face. But in the meantime, I'm going to go over the lyrics of Marvin Gaye, and we're going to revisit that fatal episode that happened yesterday as that brother eventually imploded on the inside. And different people had different commentaries about this man, about that man. And whatever the commentary is, that's your opinion. But from a clinical perspective, unresolved mental illness can lead to homicidal and suicidal ideations. So we're going to talk about it, because I'm going to go over the lyrics. Because many of you guys are hollering on the inside. Many of you guys are tired of the toxic culture that you're living in. Many of you guys are sick of the social system that we live in. Marvin Gaye said, make me want to holler the way they do my life. How are they doing your life? Are they giving you a voice to share some of your concerns as a man? Are they affording you the opportunity to speak truth to power? It's time for black men to be liberated. And shout out to the good sister. Shout out to my dear sister, Gail. Thank you, Gail. I love you, sis. Shout out to Gail. Gail is a good sister. I saw in the Ingram Experience a couple of minutes ago. I didn't have a chance to pop in because I was getting ready for the show. But shout out to my dear sister. She's a sister that had been, or more or less seen, the ravages of toxic women, but also toxic mothers. And see, we don't ever talk about the pain that a lot of our boys are going through, and a lot of our girls as well. Our girls are the byproducts of vicarious trauma, just like our boys. And because in the black community, we don't deal with unconscious pathologies, it leads to what's called dysfunction. If I more or less grafted a genogram of some of you guys in your families, you will see a lot of dysfunction in your genogram. A genogram is more or less a way to help more or less talk about the pathologies from your past so that you can make what's called corrective action. I told you guys as a clinical therapist, in order to recover, you must uncover. You got to uncover some of the pain from your past so that you can recover and you don't carry that toxic behavior into new relationships. Some of you are wondering why you can't keep the right woman, because it's, you guys have been negatively social conditioned. And so we're going to go over that clip that caused a lot of pain and anger in the hearts of men. Some talked about it from the legal perspective. Shout out to the lead attorney. Some talked about it from a masculine perspective. Shout out to Dr. Ron Neal. But I'm going to talk about it from a clinical perspective. Because at the end of the day, it all starts in the mind. And actually, Dr. Neal gave me this post before I started it. So we're going to deal with the ravages of mental health and mental health pathologies. Because as I said a few minutes earlier, a hopeless man is a broken man. And a broken man is a very dangerous man. And just like Marvin Gaye was hollering because of social injustice, some of you men are hollering as I speak today. So we're going to go more or less go back, and we're going to more or less look at this. And I want you guys to ask yourself the question, what did it do to you mentally when you saw what this man was going through on yesterday? Did it make you think about times that you struggled with in the past when no one heard your pain? Let me bring this up in a minute. Hold tight, guys, because it's time to be liberated. All right, hold tight. This was very dark on yesterday. It was very dark. And my wife, she saw it and she said it was dark to her as well. So I want you guys to listen to it. Hold tight. Because this whole episode
that supported me and really knows what's going on. Thank you all. I've been going through a custody battle. I've been going through having my ex-wife say I molested my children and all kinds of craziness. Been fighting for custody for 3 years. So, you know, shit has been real crazy. What's up, Oliver? You know about this. Going through it with my ex-wife, blah, blah, blah. So, meet, you know, and start dating somebody new. And she got pregnant. And, you know, we got in a fight. First thing she does is threatening that she's going to do the same thing. You're never going to see your kids, blah, blah, blah. It's the holidays, man. I don't have no family, nothing. Anyway, I just did something crazy, man. I just shot my ex-girlfriend in the head, yo.
This man that was struggling on the inside said, I don't have any family. I told you guys that family is one of the 7 steps that a man must go through in order to become optimized, meaning he needs a masculine father that can guide him as a man. So many of you young men have got with horrible women. They have more or less derailed your life. Look how these women use the court system and more or less use unjust laws to add to their advantage and the demise in the mental health of these men. So the question remains, what role did this image on yesterday play in your mind? Are you ready to be liberated like the American Brazilian? We're going to do an anecdotal experience as it relates to him and also his beautiful wife, Talita. Keep listening.
Felt like a dream. Like, I never thought I would be that guy. I can't go to prison, so the person that really started my depression and all of this is my ex-wife.
The person that started his depression is his ex-wife. Because we live in a world where a lot of times we don't hold our women accountable. That's why black men are getting frustrated. They're tired. They want a woman to be an oscillator for their soul, their mind, and their spirit. They want a woman that they can come home to that's going to give them peace of mind. Because when black men have to deal with some, not all, systematic racism, where they have to provide and protect, black men die off early. Men die off early in general, but black men tend to die off early due to stress. I heard Sister Gail talk about her father. Shout out to her on the Ingram experience. And can you imagine how or what would happen if a person had a strong father that could guide them and help them deal with some of the negatives that they're dealing with in this world that we live in called America? Can you imagine if this man had other brothers or more or less knew about the kosher clinician or more or less knew about other brothers through what's called a universality, a brotherhood to share his catharsis? That man probably or perhaps would have been living on today. But mental health is serious and many times it goes unignored. Keep listening.
So she next, and then I'm going to do myself too. But I just wanted to say this to people. Don't play with people's emotions, man. Don't lie on these men. Oh, here's my ex-wife right here. Today's the day. That supported me and really knows
Every
what's
time I
going
hear
on.
that,
Thank you all.
every time I hear that, guys, it brings chills over my body because that situation could have been abated. That situation could have been abated if someone was there to speak life into that man. That situation could have been abated if we had good sisters holding other bad sisters accountable, just like we need to hold dusty black men accountable. And really, we don't have to hold dusty black men accountable because the court system holds dusty black men accountable. But the thing that we don't have now, guys, we don't have a community anymore. At least what Marvin Gaye had back in the past was a black community. These children don't know what functionality looked like. That's why millennials and zennials don't see the importance of marriage. Some of these young boys have been born in families where the mothers are very toxic. They've been born in families where they never saw strong masculine fathers. They've been in communities where they didn't get the proper mental health because of some forms of systemic racism. And listen to what I'm saying, because we had a great show with Anton Daniels the Million here. I don't believe that you got to let racism stop you from being successful. I'm a living testimony. I don't believe you got to let your circumstance stop you from being successful because the things that we're dealing with now is nothing compared to what we went through in the past. Guys, get the likes up, share the content. But the problem is this brother was suffering on the inside. He was dealing with pain that went unresolved. And I got a clip, guys, I'm going to show you when I was in Brazil about why or how so many young black men feel like their lives have no meaning with some of the dating choices here in America. I told you guys when I went to Brazil, I was going to take notes. And because I love you guys, I want to give you guys clear and concise evidence. This show or this clip is a combination of a show that I've done, but I'm going to review it and talk about it. And then we're going to talk about the dichotomy between Marvin Gaye and the American Brazilian, my homeboy Larry. Because when you look at this show that I did with Larry, it was with Aguapo and Al Grease. Al Grease is a filmmaker of Frustrated 1, 2, and 3. You're going to see why so many men are beginning to say, you know what? I'm going to save myself as it relates to my mental health. And I'm going to get with women that see me as somebody valuable instead of an ATM machine. Because if I told you men in the past, you have value. You don't have to suffer in silence anymore. I've been helping a lot of men behind the scene. And if some of you guys are dealing with mental health issues, check me out, coachtheclinician@gmail.com. Gail has dropped the link. And like I said, if you don't have anything to share, guys, share this content. Get the likes up. Share the content because we can't allow another black man or white man to be a victim of suicidal ideations or homicidal ideations. So I'm going to do the show as I drop some fire for your mind. This clip and this story of two millennial and zennial young men as they talk about negative dating trends here in this sex pool called America. So we're going to bring it up. And yeah, I see that, sis. She said, the Coach Clinician, YouTube took my video down, but I think it's only due to the video you are showing. They took Lee's video down too, but he appealed it. Just be prepared. Oh, wow. Thank you for telling me, dear. I didn't know that. Yeah, that's weird. I think it depends on when you show it. If you show it later into the stream, it's different versus in the beginning, but I could be wrong, so I need to get prepared for it as well. Shout out to my sister, security boss. Thank you, dear. Shout out to you guys. Well, we're going to talk about it because many young men want love. You know, if you grew up in the 90s like I did, you guys remember the song by Stacey Lattisaw. Stacey Lattisaw said, I found love on a two-way street and lost it on the lonely highway. And as I said in the past, men are the romanticiers. Men tend to be the romantics. And a lot of men are beginning to say that what's the purpose of dealing with modern women because there's no benefit. Men want traditional women because we've been conditioned to be traditional. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. Shout out to Mika G. She said the man appeared to be level-headed person who lost his way with his emotion and his circumstances as well. We just never get to know and see the unfolding of destruction. Yes, ma'am, you're correct, dear. Shout out to Cool Gent. Cool Gent, this show is dedicated to you, brother. This show is dedicated to millennial and zennials. You said you wanted the show talking about it, and we're going to talk about it. At some point, I'm going to drop the link, and I'm going to allow the millennials and zennials to talk. What I wish my dad had have told me about modern women. As I said before, this show is a dichotomy between the American Brazilian. He found his beautiful wife, Talita. But also this show is a dichotomy between men suffering in silence because of not having a voice. So like I said, I need you guys to share the content, get the likes up. If you have not donated, donate to Cash App $7 Smalls. Please donate to Cash App $7 Smalls and hit the super chat, because I got a fiery show for you guys on today. I do these shows as a licensed professional because we need to start bringing clarity to black male mental health by all men. Male mental health many times is minimized and marginalized. Many times when I went to one of the best schools in the country, UNC, a lot of times liberal schools don't really talk about black male mental health issues or male mental health issues, but they normally do it through a feminist lens as it's based on empowerment. So it's time for you guys to get empowered. And so I'm gonna let you guys listen to what these young men are saying about dating trends here in America. Then I'm gonna have a panel of millennials and zennials. Cool Gent, he's gonna be one of my guests on today. And I'm gonna let the young people speak, because the young people are tired of frustration. The young people are tired of suffering. Guys, share the content. So I'm gonna bring it up, and we're gonna talk about it. Hold tight.
The kosher clinician.
Are modern men tired of the current trends in dating and relationships? It appears that modern men are beginning to explore their options outside of the confines of America. Zennial and millennial men appear to be frustrated because the women that they're looking for appear to not have their best interests. In this show, we will examine why zennial and millennial men, from an anecdotal observation with a young man by the name of Global Kamal and his cameraman, and we will look at the evidence and the reasons to why many modern millennial and zennial men are actually beginning to travel abroad to entertain the idea of dating women from many cultures. There was a time it was believed that modern women or women of the past were more suitable for dating and relationships. But in this current world, it appears that the women lack the skills or the wherewithal or the cooperation to get the man that they really want. Are modern men begin to travel abroad to explore countries like Brazil, Africa, Europe, European countries? Are modern men begin to see that they really are the prize? Sit back, relax, and enjoy this show as we talk about the disparities that occur as many modern men are beginning to look for women that can meet their needs and to meet their expectations. Can a man find love abroad? Can a man find a cheerleader in the form of a foreign woman? Can a man get cooperation from women that were trained to be traditional? You decide. Be well. So this is the cameraman for my man, Lord Jamal. I spoke with Jamal a couple of minutes ago. About world travel. So Jamal, tell the audience who you are and why you have decided to travel abroad as an expat leaving the confines of America. Tell the audience, please.
Hey man, my name is Ree. I'm over here with Virgin. I'm the cameraman for Bro Jamal. I'm out here traveling because that's what we like to do. We always dreamed about traveling, going to different places. Man, the world is bigger than your city. It's bigger than the state. It's bigger than the country. It's so many other continents you got to go to and see. And I don't want to live life regretting, I wish I would have went over here. I wish I would have went over there. I want to see it all just to know what it is and what it ain't. So luckily, God put opportunity in our hands to work and make things happen. And now we out here trying to grind.
What would you say are some of the benefits to world travel and seeing the world outside of America? What's been some of the benefits to world travel? And, what were your experiences dealing with some of the American black men and black women, or Americans in general, based on treatment as an African-American man?
propaganda that the states that we hear, we just make it feel like United States is the best country ever, and like us being a national day, like we want to be like, oh, the home is the best home, but like being over here, being in every other country is like, you know, it ain't that bad. You know what I'm saying? You make it seem like it's a third world country. They make it seem like you're like living in huts if you're not in the states or whatnot. That's never been the case.
Right.
As far as like as a black man, is people don't see any difference or anything like that. I'm just another person here. There's actually more people of color in these other countries and these other states than how you think it is in America. So you're not no loner. You're not anywhere else. You're not like going to be treated even worse in America. You actually get treated better, to be honest with you.
Let's talk about some of the mental abuse you went through as a black man growing up in America. Did you grow up in a two-parent intact family?
No.
Right.
Just my mother.
Right. So what are some of the things you went through psychologically as a black man traveling abroad? And what were some of the naysayers? What were some of the things the naysayers said to you, young man, with you traveling abroad?
I think we all know that you can't do it. They try to put doubt in you. They make it seem like you're not capable, you're not smart enough, you're not this, that, and the third. That's all bullshit, man. I don't know if I cuss on you.
No, you're fine, man.
That's all messed up. Just go take charge in your own hands and just go do it. Like, travel the world. Like, and then you get to see the real. Like, all the stuff that people saying back home, nobody's saying that over here. People is embracing. Like, as people walking by, they say, hey, what's up?
Right.
Like, we're just regular people.
Right. Traveling with Lord Jamal, what's been some of the benefits of traveling with this brother? You're his cameraman, but what's been some of the benefits of traveling with Lord Jamal?
Bro, so like this dude's like bigger than a friend. Like this was like my client at one point, but he's taking care of me so much, not just like financially and everything, but anything.
And I met these young Zennials and Millennials when I was in Brazil. I met these young brothers, and they're a small segment of young men that becoming expats, and they're beginning to travel and explore their experiences. And you guys are hearing it firsthand. Young men are getting frustrated. Shout out to Al Greaves for Frustrated 1, 2, and soon to be Frustrated 3. When that movie drop, I'll let you guys know. I should be in that movie, along with my young crab, Chris Strongheart. He's going to come in at some point, and I'm going to let the millennials and zennials talk because I want to see these young men in power. But as you can see, the young man that's talking, the cameraman, he was not raised in a family where he had a strong father. Both were raised in single-parent homes. And this is very deleterious and very damaging because boys need their fathers for guidance. But when you have women like the two women that you heard, guys, that led to that man taking his life, those women leave their children without a covering because of their selfishness and their emotional instability. They threat the man when they can't get what they want, and it's unfortunate. But keep listening. Hold tight. So while this video is popping up, it's like it froze for a minute.
That I needed as far as like traveling and stuff like that. He makes sure he takes care of me and everything. Like anything I want to go, this is for him. Wherever you want to do, he want to go do it. But like if there's a place I want to go, he'll stop everything and make sure we go there. So
Lord Jamal, I want you to get in the camera with him. I want to ask you both a question. Both of you guys are from single parent homes. What were some of the struggles you young brothers went through, man, as growing up in single parent homes? What did you feel like you missed from not having a father? And now that you guys are stepping out on your manhood, what are some of the benefits of stepping outside your manhood, defying the odds, and living on your own terms? Because I'm impressed with this young man. This young man has a trucking company. He has 3 trucks. The brother's doing well, but he's saying that even with 3 trucks, most of the women in Miami see him as a meal ticket. I want you guys to elaborate on the impact of not having fathers, but also I want you guys to elaborate on why you feel that most women in America see you as a meal ticket instead of seeing you as a grown man or human being. It's a loaded question.
I think that's just how the country sound, the climate is. Everybody trying to get money. Everybody needs money. So they feel like if you around money, I'm going to do whatever to get the bag or whatever, you know what I mean? So it's just like, it's kill or be killed out here. We got to make sure we protect ourselves and everything. We haven't taught that because, like you said, our father wasn't around to tell us that. So we all figuring it out as we go. And once we find like-minded people, it's like a tribe. We make sure nobody try to take and steal from us.
Right.
And like with these women and whatnot, not say women, take men are like this too. You just trying to do what's best for you. Or if I got to stick around here to make the most money, I'm going to go do that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just leech and stuff like that. I don't necessarily blame them. I just blame the culture that we in. Because if you go somewhere else, it's not like that.
Right. Lord Jamal, talk about the impact that you went through as a young man with not having your father around and how you've been able to circumnavigate not having a dad, but also the struggles of being a business owner. This brother got 3 trucks, but still struggling to find quality women that will honor and respect him as a man. So what was it like not having your father around? And tell the audience about some of the stories that you've experienced with modern American women with treating you as a man, real quick.
Well, me growing up without a father is real hard. Just single family home, no electricity. I had to stay with different sisters, you know what I'm saying, just to get ahead. But yeah, I had it hard. I don't even know whether my father is like that, but I just knew I wanted to be great. So I always strove for greatness, and I just tried to figure it out. So I started finding out different trades I can do to make money, and that's recession proof. So I started with cooking, and then I started with credit repair, and also I got my own marketing company, and now I'm doing my own clothing brand.
Good, man. Proud of you, young brother. Right.
But as far as with women in America, it doesn't matter. They don't respect you as a man. It doesn't matter how much money you got.
Right.
They're just looking for a meal ticket.
We're gonna see the economy, guys.
I feel like if I go overseas, I can find a woman who actually loves me for me, and it ain't about the money. They just want to be a good wife and respect me as a king. So that's why I go overseas a lot. Because that's where the quality women at is overseas.
Right. Young cameraman, there's been a perception that if you pay all the bills, a woman will honor and respect you. What's your take on that? Do you think that's a myth and a lie?
That's a lie.
You guys are millennials and zennials. Tell the audience why it's a lie that if you pay all the bills, you still won't get the respect you deserve from a woman.
Because money ain't everything, you know what I mean? It's just, do you actually care about the person? Have you guys spent time together to know about each other, stuff like that? You could be with somebody that don't like you for years. It's just like, you know what I'm saying, everybody got to do what's best for them. If this is the best living situation for me, I'm going to put up with somebody for X amount of years so I can do whatever and go on my own or something like that. There's a lot of people in my age group that's just going through that right now. I just went through something like that, you know what I mean? So it's just, it's sad out there, man, to be honest with you.
Let me ask you guys a question. There's a word called simping. Have you guys been simping?
I'm simply living life. That's the only thing I'm
You say you simply living the life?
Living life.
All right. Well, let's talk about real quick. Tell the young brothers a time when you simp, but you changed your simping ways. When have you been guilty, Jamal? You're a king. You got that Scorpio swag, but tell the audience about a time, Jamal, when you did simp, but you learned from it, and now you're trying to be a better man. Real quick.
Well, I feel like I simply made a mistake dealing with an American woman.
All right, you were simping out by being with her.
Just better over here.
Right.
But I regret like just having women just reach off me just because of what I have, instead of for who I am as a person. So I regret that. I think that's when I was simping.
Right. But you know what, man? You live and you learn. We all have been simps at some point, but you know the new motto is that thou shalt not simp. I talk about the conscious and the unconscious simp on my YouTube channel. I want you to tell the audience about what you wish your dad would have told you. What's your name again, brother?
Ree.
Ree is the cameraman for Lord Jamal and his YouTube channel. Go check him out on his YouTube channel. What's the name of your channel again? Global Mall. He's a world traveler, world expat. But tell the audience when a time when you simp, brother, and what you learned from it, and what you wish your father would have told you as a young man.
Man, so my father passed away a week before I was born.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear
I
that.
Tell nobody like that, but it is what it is. We got the exclusive right here. But if it's one thing I wish you would have told me just about like women and shit like that, just be yourself. Usually I'm coming from like women, you know what I mean? They tell you how to treat a woman. So
right.
Extra try to treat a woman, but they don't tell you how a man should be treated.
Right.
So I wish I had somebody older told me like, hey, bro, do you make sure you love and take care of that person, but make sure it's reciprocated. Right.
It
seems like you got to go above and beyond just to meet to get
her needs, but never to meet your needs. And see, like I tell you guys, that's the economy. Over here, women are conditioned to treat men like men. And here, there's a penalty when you get out of line. Now, we're not advocating violence, but over here, men are treated like men. And I'm so proud of these young men. They're living life on their own terms. We got Lord Jamal with his production company, Global Mall, but also his cameraman. These guys going to do some big things. I'm going to be the first one to talk about him when his YouTube channel blow up at some point. I got the exclusive footage. And like I said, guys, I told you guys, my job as a therapist is to help empower these young men, to let them know they can be loved outside of America, and they don't have to deal with disrespectful women or disrespectful men, and they can get the outcomes that they focus on themselves, because greater is later. Real quick, tell the audience why greater is later, Lord Jamal. Tell the audience why greater is later.
Well, in my case, I got greater later because, like I said, I grew up not having nothing, not having a father in my life. I feel like a woman can't teach a boy how to be a man.
That's true, yes, sir.
So I recommend that if you have a child, make sure you stay in your child's life, man. Be there, teach them how to grow up and be an adult and how to make it in this world. You know what I'm saying? So that's my outfit.
Okay, tell the audience, you're 23, you're a puppy, man. But tell the audience why greater is later, in your opinion.
time, simply. Like, you can't get everything done in 1 second, but you had a minute to do something, you get a lot further than that second.
Right.
Same thing applied with a minute, with an hour, with an
Right.
hour, with a week. You know what I mean? Just more time, you got more time to learn and get better at your craft.
Right,
so
right.
Great is always later. I know y'all heard the saying, like, J.K. Rowling didn't make her first book so she was like something. Barack Obama was like this at this age. Like, everybody wasn't who they were early on. You got some like early successes, but like a lot of people, they just go on their own time. So
Right.
don't be discouraged if like things ain't working out in your early 20s, man. You still got your 30s, you still got your 40s, Lord willing. If you see yourself alive next year, that means you got time to make something happen.
Right. So once again, guys, we got Lord Jamal. And we're traveling abroad, bringing to you live from one of the greatest places in the world, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and Christo the Redeemer. And guys, I will be back in the States soon, but I told you the world travel is powerful to helping men become optimized. And once again, it's been a pleasure to have this exclusive interview. This young buck is going to blow up at some point, I believe. And like I said, man, you know, before you can travel, you got to get that mind right. And we've been getting the mind right. So guys, once again, see you soon. I will be back in the States. And I love you guys. Be well.
For sure.
So you guys saw it firsthand. The power of world travel. The power of being liberated. The power of being optimized, guys. That's the power. Guys, I need you guys to donate to the channel. Shout out to Tim Howe for the $3 super chat. Thank you, Tim. Shout out to Jason Phillips for the $5 super chat. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, guys. You guys are awesome. Please share the content because these shows are very crucial for the millennials and zennials. You know, we live in a world in the black community where we celebrate foolishness. This chat should be at 100 folks, but because we don't take mental health serious, we tend to aggrandize goofy stuff. And, you know, we wonder why our community is so messed up because we don't take the things that really matter serious. These young men are expats. They're traveling abroad because they want traditional feminine women. Shout out to Sweet Lulu Bean. She said the society reviews acknowledge that black men can be victims. The manosphere needs masculinity to fight the narrative that masculinity is dangerous and a negative thing. No doubt, sister. You're 100% correct. Nah, man, they're not a company. They're homies, man. Nah. Hold tight, guys. Let me plug this thing. Hold tight. Give me 1 minute. I'm gonna plug this. Plug my system up before this computer shut down. Hold tight. So no, it's brotherly love, man. It's brotherly love. It's brotherly love. It's brotherly love, man. It's all brotherly love, man. And you begin to see men come together in unison. Once again, guys, please like the content, share it, get the likes up. And Mika G said exactly, most people tolerate each other. Love's beyond what it can be truly defined as. And so the key is many guys are beginning to travel abroad. Global Mall, he's a young guy. He's up and coming. And Global Mall is doing what the American Brazilian did. The American Brazilian got frustrated with dating choices in America. And I'm an advocate for choices. I'm an advocate for men doing what's best for them. You know, the thing I don't understand, you have some goofy guys and some goofy women that love to try to shame folks. And they'll say, oh, you're lame, you can't get women in America. And what some of these goofy goofballs don't understand, it's not that they can't get women in America, they just choose not to deal with them. They choose to exercise their options to deal with women that have been more or less conditioned through what's called positive assimilation. And if a woman wants to do the same thing, I say go for it. I don't knock anybody for more or less utilizing their choices to do what's best for them, men or women. But, you know, the shaming language is really baffling when you hear it from men because I expect the women to do it, but, you know, it's goofy when you hear men do it because, you know, some of these game coaches, you know, try to sell you foolishness. But what these young expats are saying is that, you know what? we're going to exercise our options as men, and we're going to go to Colombia. We're going to go to Brazil. We're going to go to Africa. We're going to go to Europe. We're going to go to countries where the women have been conditioned to be feminine. And listen, there are some good young women that get looked over as well. There are some good young women that get looked over. But I did this show, guys, as a tribute to some of these young millennial men. But before we talk about that, we're going to talk about the American Brazilian versus Marvin Gaye. Because not only are millennial men suffering and zennial men, but so are some Gen X's. The American Brazilian is a good brother of mine. He's a friend of mine. And at some point, if I'm ever in Florida, I'm going to check him out. But he got him an Afro-Brazilian woman, and you can see the joy in his eyes with his wife, Talita. So we're going to more or less look at this show from an anecdotal perspective as well. And we're going to more or less extrapolate some of the stressors and the perils that the American Brazilian went through. But now this man is a happy man with his beautiful wife and also a bouncing baby boy. And see, that's what all men want. All men want a woman that can bring them joy and happiness. That's all men want. Most men just want peace. That's all. They just want a woman they can come home to that's going to support them and love them. That's all brothers want. And, and so men are getting sick of it. And so I'm going to pull this up about the American Brazilian. Shout out to my man Yaziz and King 313. King 313 said a man should be a hunter. We have to be the king of the jungle, so you should be able to eat wherever you are. In theory, what you're saying is true. You can't take new wine and put it into old wineskin. You can't be a king when the architect of that kingdom is not a king. The architect of the kingdom must be a king in order to have kingdom benefits. Shout out to my man Yaziz. He said getting women in the U.S. is not difficult, but the end result of the modern feminist mind have not been proven to be complementary to the traditional man. That's all we're saying. It's not the fact that you can't get women. It's quantity, but how many are actually quality? Getting sex is easy now. But can a man find a traditional conservative woman that's willing to help him build his program? And so, as I said earlier, some people, use shaming language. And, they say you can't get women, and it's not great about getting a woman to go to bed. Well, it's not special about that because sex is easy now. But what's great is that can you get a woman that you can build a legacy with? That's the question. And so we're going to explore the American Brazilian because the American Brazilian talked about the struggles that he had as a man before he met his beautiful wife. And shout out to him for giving me the footage because we need to start having these conversations. We need to start having these conversations. So let me find, hold tight. Let me find, so the whole essence of the discussion is this. Are Afro-Latin women more wife-ready and the new black woman for relationships? I did this show a while ago with El Guapo, my man Al Grease, and my man Larry. And guys, I want you to listen. And I might advance the show at some point, but I'm going to have you guys listen to what he's saying, and I'm going to advance it to the points that I feel that are necessary to add clarity to the discussion. All right, so I need you guys to listen.
When I would, before my trip to Brazil and even after, when I would come back, different women would say, well, oh, you just going over there because the women are prostitutes, or the women just want a green card. When the truth of the matter is, and gentlemen, I know you can attest to this because you've been there more times than I have. Most of the women in Brazil have no desire to leave Brazil because they love their country.
Right.
And so this misnomer about everybody being prostitutes and wanting green cards and of course, yeah, you do have that. But I'm a firm believer wherever you have poverty, you're going to have crime. And that degree of poverty that's there, you're going to have crime, and that's here in America as well. But besides the point, it's life changing. Like it stretches you out, and you realize that you were being lied to. So when you come back here, when I came back here, the biggest thing for me was to even attempt to date somebody who was American, because it's kind of like I'm like, well, what am I doing? Like, I went on so many dates, and after 3 minutes, I said to myself, you and I will never share the same airspace again. And many
Right.
people I
Right.
never called back because it was kind of
Right.
like, why am I wasting my time? I don't want to be here. I don't want to be with you. I want to be over there. And again, it wasn't until I found my wife that I just kind of was at peace again. But yeah, man, they lie to us a lot over here.
Go ahead, Al. I'm sorry.
America's good at advertising. They're good at advertising.
Yes,
They got
exactly.
the whole. I'm in New York. They got the whole Fifth Ave, the whole district over there based on for advertising. And the root word is that to avert your attention, then entice you with some bullshit. And when I was doing research and stuff, you start traveling. Oh, I said Brazil, a third world country. I'm like, shit. I went to first time I went to Sao Paulo in December. Went to Sao Paulo, and I'm looking at these tall buildings and fancy shit over there. And as I was walking through the mall and going to certain restaurants, they had these heat sensors put up. So if my temperature was elevated, they would stop you. And I was like, wow, I'm in New York and we ain't got none of this shit. And hand sanitizer kits at the table when you go in a restaurant and stuff. And I'm like, shit, I can live here. Now, I'm not, if I'm living in Beverly Hills, you damn sure know I ain't going to the slum to go live. And I'd give up New York to go live in Sao Paulo. If I could right now, I'd be out of here or going Rio. So they're good at advertising and enticing you, averting you and enticing you with bullshit because they always quick to market. Oh, no, nobody love you over there. Nobody love you over there. Nobody loves you there. Nobody loves you there. And a lot of that, you look at white supremacy and all, and you look at the white privilege and all that shit. The threat to white supremacy is gonna come from other men. It's not gonna come from women. White men don't fear women. He don't fear black women. He don't fear Asian women. He don't fear Hispanic women. But he do fear other men. And I think he believes his biggest challenge is black men. So if I can keep you frustrated, I can keep you unhappy, displays with your woman, keep you in the courthouse fighting, relieve you of your money, child support, alimony, and all those kind of payments, I can keep you under control a little bit. A lot. I can keep you under control because I'm controlling your finances through that shit, just through your basic relationship with your counterpart. And if I can control that, I got you right where I want you. And once brothers will start leaving now and finding happiness and coming back joyous and smiles. I see the smiles, and I have when I was out there, I saw brothers smiles I ain't seen like System Kool-Aid smiles. I ain't seen them all the time. Brothers just couldn't believe where they were at and what they were experiencing. So once you get that and you get that taste of it, and you get to experience that, it's going to have a major impact, a major change in your life, and you'll change your philosophy on life. And then you come back here and you'll see through that bullshit that they're trying to promote and push through you, and you'll find your happiness.
Hey Al, send the group, allow tell the guys to join the conversation. I'll send it to the BMO group, man. But go ahead.
It's in there. It's in there.
Okay, brother. Go ahead, Larry.
I'm gonna see if my wife has put my son to sleep. If not, I'll see if she can come join us.
Yes, sir. I would love her to join. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay.
And I remember what I was going to say to you, American Brazilian. I know you're about to step away, but when you were talking about, people told you, hey, go here before you go to Brazil and go there before you go to Brazil. Brazil is kind of the mountaintop.
Yes.
Rio de Janeiro is kind of the pinnacle of the mountaintop.
And that is the word that they use, the pinnacle.
It is. And I made the mistake of going to Brazil first. It's hard to go anywhere. I went to the DR after that. No diss to the DR. But I was like, man, what is this?
Now, that's some third world. That's some third world shit.
Yeah. Now I enjoyed Colombia. I did enjoy Colombia, but not like Brazil is kind of like a second home. So when you've exposed a man like that, and kosher clinician, I don't cuss much, but we have a term in business where there's a certain level of how do I want to put this? I'm trying not to say that, I'm just saying it. So we call it being unbullshittable. Okay. When you've operated at the ground level and you've done the work and then you've elevated to a super.
I had some top-notch meat, man, and find out I was eating out the garbage can. So I had to change my diet. Got more natural food, what they call organic, but it's just natural, not processed.
Right.
And once I went to like Guapo said, I went to this had the traveling bug. Just wanted to get out and see some stuff. Went to DR and didn't like it at all. I didn't like the DR at all. I didn't like the infrastructure. I didn't feel safe. Didn't really care for it. And then my next trip was Brazil, and that was it. I'm 20 years strong, damn near 20 years strong in Brazil. So once I went to Brazil, man, that was it, man. I was like, this is it. DR, I can't do it. I can't. I know DR got other parts of it and stuff, man, but I can't do it. With the other parts, you know, we travel to Thailand and other parts. We got a trip coming up to Africa that I'm interested in going to, man. But Brazil has been it for me, man. And like I said, once I ran across women who were fit, friendly, and feminine, whoo, whoo, whoo. I came back a different dude. Man. All my friends' wives and significant others don't talk to me like I come back and word with freedom. I come back with a word of freedom. Hey, bro, you ain't got to be frustrated. You could always roll with me. I'll let you know what I'm doing. You could always roll with me. They can't stand me, man. They can't stand me. They can't stand me. I got some cool cats, man, especially in the Atlanta area. Well, I spent a lot of time in the Atlanta area in my 20s. I'm still cool with them today, man. But you know, they wise look at me and you know, hello Al, how you doing? I know you just came back from Brazil and all that. And I tease him too. I tell my man, hey man, when you gonna go with me, man? You got to go with me out there. And I kill him first. He ain't coming back. Once he get out there, he ain't coming back. So you ain't got to worry about that. But yeah, once I find they were fit, friendly, and feminine, and that feminine energy, it just did something to me, man. It just did something to me. But when I came back in, I came back into women who were being combative. And I mean, I saw a chick, I was just talking to her, and she said, wait a minute, hold up. I think, you know, you cool dude. How much you make a year? What's this? What's stop. You don't even know my last name. You don't even know my last name. And you trying to get my bank account? You don't even know my last name. And it just brought me the wrong way, and I wasn't interested no more. And once I travel, I'm not frustrated no more. Tell me, there's no frustration here. You see my smile out there. You see my smile out there.
and you know the good thing about it, man. When I was there, you know, I met a brother named Eric. He was a Portuguese. He was a Blanco. He was a Portuguese translator, and he took me to this Brazilian place where they had Brazilian meat. And the Brazilian meat is awesome, man. It's lean and clean, man. And you know, Al, I was thinking about you when you were on the beach, man. You were actually glowing. You know, you'll lose weight in Brazil. Your blood pressure go down. Your testosterone will go up. If you haven't had a boy, you'll make a boy in Brazil.
You saw that glow I had on me?
Man, you had the soul glow.
Yeah.
Shout out to Dr. McCoy. You had the soul glow.
I was at peace.
You were at peace. I could see it in your eyes, man. You know, and that's how toxic America is. So I started the topic by saying, are American women wife ready, and are Afro-Latin women the new black woman? And I'm saying that because many men are divesting. What many don't understand, Afro-Latin women are from the diaspora. They have African roots, African blood. It's like I did my blood test, and I'm 43% Nigerian. I'm about, I don't know, about I don't know, about 10%, Cameroon, Congo. So I have, blacks in America, we're from all our bloodlines from the whole African diaspora, but Afro-Latin people are also from the diaspora. Actually, they're more African than a lot of people in America. So why were you frustrated, American Brazilian? Then Guapo, I want to go back to you, but why were you frustrated? And what joy and peace have your current wife given you that's giving you solace and peace of mind?
I think I was frustrated because I felt like a window shopper with money only to purchase a product to realize that it wasn't as advertised. That's why I was frustrated. So when I met my wife, I think for me, the traditional aspect of her upbringing was very attractive, so much so to where, and I tell this story and it freaked me out.
Right.
When I decided that I wanted to be exclusive with her, not that I was dating around, but I wanted to just kind of see her and her alone, I asked her, I said, well, I want to make you my girlfriend. And I felt like I was 10 asking her this. And she told me that, she said, well, and I don't know if you remember this, but she said that you're going to have to get my mother's and my father's permission. I'm like, what? I said, you serious? Because I thought she was playing. She was like, yes, I'm very serious. And so, of course, that, I think it was a Monday, we called FaceTime her mom and her sister. It was a Monday, I think it was. I think it was a Monday. Anyway, and I talked to her mom, and her mom, we had a little conversation. And her mom said, yeah, as long as you treat my daughter with respect. But I hadn't talked to her father yet. So that was the following day. So the next day, FaceTimed her mother and her father. And he said, well, of course, if my daughter thinks you're a nice guy, come across as a good man, just based on our brief interaction, then yes, you have our consent. And they were coming here, I think it was a few weeks after that. So they were going to come here for 30 days. So I was like, look, I have a couple of guest bedrooms. I say, so we'll just let them stay here, because I really wanted to see the dynamic between her and her parents, to see if what I saw between just she and I was like, I wanted to see if she was the genuine article. And so, I mean, it was amazing, the relationship between her parents, the respect that she had for her parents. One time I thought she was arguing with her parents, and I realized that that's how they talk, kind of loud or whatever.
Right.
But it was just the traditional aspect of, getting permission. And she told me something, and I didn't believe it, but her mom confirmed it. There is not one divorce in their family. It doesn't exist. I'm talking about on either side. It just doesn't exist.
Great.
And so for me, that, as somebody who's been divorced a few times, never wanted to, but you know, things happen. That added to the attraction. So um, a lot of things about meeting her gave me piece upon piece upon piece. And even to this day, I mean, it just grows. I mean, I shared with them today, we were sitting on the couch and I said, man, this is like heaven to me. And she was like, what? I said, man, just you and my son, just us three, just being here. It's like we don't have to be anywhere in the world. Just as long as we're together, the peace that we're experiencing is just amazing. And unbeknownst to her, a lot of it is from those poor point of references of past experiences based on where I am now. So I mean, man, again, I just you can't make this up, man. You can't. You got. It's got to be. I don't know, man. It's just real. It's real, man. It's she's the genuine article, man.
Man, I'm happy for you, brother. I'm happy for you.
Can I ask a quick question? I just want to ask a quick question to American Brazilian. How did that process differ from the last your previous three wives you
right? I was about to ask that. Right.
Well, I think I would say the what sticks out most is the traditional role aspect.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't having somebody trying to be me. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't having somebody trying to be the man and the woman.
Right.
You know, it's almost like my wife is the woman, I am the man. There are certain things that are intrinsically allocated for me, and there are things that are intrinsically allocated for her.
Right.
But the last experience, it was like one person trying to do everything, you know, and it was just the combativeness. It was on steroids, and it was almost like, and I don't know if you guys can agree, it was like that corporate mindset when people get into corporate America. You know, it's just that like everything is a number. Humanity doesn't exist. Everything's calculated in just numbers, facts and figures. And my wife, everything is just personal. You know, we're human. Family is first. It's not a situation where, you know, money is everything. It's like money is up here, family kind of falls somewhere at the bottom floor. And that's another difference. It's almost like, what do you have? It's so funny because I can buy my wife any purse that she wants.
Right.
But my wife, she likes Coach purses, and even with that, you know, my wife will go here, if she likes something, she'll get it. I was like, well, honey, let's get this right here. She said, why? You know how much I can do with that? You know, it's just it's just freaky. But man, I can't tell you how much money I spent on Louis Vuitton, Gucci purses, and all kind of stuff. And when they left, the purses left too. You know, when they left, the shoes and everything is left too.
Right.
And so it's just a difference. So it's that's just a few differences, you know. And they don't like, my wife doesn't even try to emasculate. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like, if you're a nice guy here in America, sometimes you're treated like
a sucker.
A sucker. You know, if you're a guy that say, okay, look, I'll give the advantage. Okay, baby, let's do what you want to do. It's almost like, well, I've had people tell me, you know, you too nice and stuff like that. And it's kind of like, that makes no sense to me. Like, that doesn't register, as opposed to what? Hitting you side the head? Like, I'm not going to do that. So, yeah. I'm sorry, what were you going to say, honey? I thought you were going to say something.
No, I'm going to say, like,
can you guys hear her?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
It's so funny. Hi, guys.
Hi. How you doing?
Oi, tudo bem?
Tudo bem. I'm so sorry. I was putting babies for sleep, and then I'm here. My eyes is on you, and the baby's camera too. So, and then I think about this. The first time when I got some gifts from America. After I realized this, but in Brazil, usually, like, if we are in some relationship and the guy give you for you ring, necklace, purse, stuff like this, it's like our horn, like a woman. When you broke the relationship, we return everything, because it's for the men, it's like an insult. It's rude for Brazilian men, like you return the things that they gave for you. And then for and then when I arrived in America, so one day I won the ring, and then I broke the relationship, and then I returned the ring for the guy.
Right.
So most part the girls, Americans say, "Are you stupid? You should stay with the ring." And I say, "No, where is my honor?
Honor.
My honor.
Right.
Where's my
Right. Right.
honor?
Right. Right.
I pay. I wanna keep my honor." And then what's the honor? Honor is supposed to be your ring. It's supposed to stay with the ring. It's his honor.
See, this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about, man. Like,
Right.
Do you know how much? Excuse me. Do you know how much he pays in that ring? And I said, I don't care how much he paid, but it's my honor. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I recognized that here in America, as much the guys gave you for your purse, whatever, you keep this stuff because you know something is very expensive, you know, and then it's just he gave me this, and then he's stupid, blah 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 blah. But for us, it's about the Brazilian culture. If the man give it for you something and they broke the relationship, most part, I'm not saying all the women do this, but most part the woman return the gifts, return everything because it's about our honor. You know, like you cannot buy me with your gifts.
I want to ask you a question. What's your wife's name?
Talita.
Talita. How is the culture? So when it comes down to honor and respect, if women if women are disrespectful to your husbands in Brazilian culture, what is the consequence?
If we disrespect,
Yeah, in Brazilian culture, if you disrespect your husband, you got a Brazilian husband. You're in Brazil, you disrespect. What is the consequences? What do the husbands usually do?
it depends, but
Can you guys hear us? Can you guys hear us?
I can hear you.
Yeah, we hear
Okay,
you
we'll go
fine.
ahead.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead on with the show.
but most it's difficult because well, Brazil is one of those countries that um is the highest number with the woman is murder. You know, the man usually kill the wife when the
Wow.
wife cheating them or
Right. Right.
request the divorce because he is abusing her. So in Brazil, the numbers is so higher about this. We
Mm.
have a lot of problem with this
Mm.
in Brazil. So yeah, but
So go ahead, Guapo. Go ahead, brother. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
luckily
So you know what's
thankfully,
com
I never
licença.
has problem. What?
Yeah, so my fiance Labea, and I saw you in the chat, baby. She's on her way home.
Okay.
She talks about this often, being from Colombia,
Mhm.
how safe she feels here in the United States versus in her country. She's
Mhm.
always talking about this. She says that women here don't realize how good they actually have it.
Yes,
How
sir.
dangerous it is to walk the
Right.
streets at night in her
Mhm.
country.
Right.
I've known and have befriended a lot of Brazilian women. They talk about the same thing. Yeah. So it's such a different thing here in the United States for women. You guys are so safe. You have
Right.
no idea. Like even the police. I've had a gun pointed at my head at the ATM in Rio de Janeiro. You know what I mean? But I've never had a cop pull a gun on me here, despite everything that's going on in the climate. You can't play around down there.
Mhm.
You definitely can't play around in Colombia.
Mhm.
You definitely can't. So, yeah, I understand exactly what you mean. You know, when you say that there's a high rate of women being losing their life in a domestic dispute in Brazil. It's nothing like here. It's crazy down there. It's crazy. And Labea talks, my fiance talks about this all the time, how safe she feels here. So, yeah.
And I think the reason why there's so much homogeny between American black men and Afro-Latin women is because in Afro-Latin countries, they have what's called true machismo and what I call true patriarchy, where they'll kill you, or unfortunately, like they used to say in the past, go upside your head. And I'm not endorsing domestic violence, so I want to make sure we're hearing that you guys are hearing that. So they've been trained to be wives. They've been trained to honor, obey, and serve their husband because they know there's a consequence. But on the flip side, men in America are slaves to feminism, and they know that the women know that the government here protects them. That's why they're so dishonorable and disrespectful to the men in America. And I think when you have two ships passing in the night, the Afro-Brazilian woman and the American black man, it's like heaven on earth. And, man, I'm so happy for you, man. I can tell you look so happy. Like I say, your wife gave you a little boy because that's what happens when you're not stressed. Go ahead, Al. Go ahead, brother.
You can see the peace there.
I can see the peace, man. He looks so happy. He looks so happy, man.
Just a quick question for your wife. Does she have any American friends? And if so, what is her opinion or perspective on the American on her American friends?
That's a good question. Now, go ahead. Excellent question.
Do you have any American friends, and if so, what do you think about them?
The ideology as it relates to dating and marriage.
So I don't have I don't have any American friends here because I guess the Americans is a little cold. Is your friends from Brazil, like the Brazilians here in America, even we are out the country, I guess, especially because they're out our culture, we try and keep together, and keeping our relationships like friendship, everybody always together. But I just have few friends, but no, it's friends, it's just colleague, somebody that you just talk a little bit, change a few words when I was living in the north, and then it was when it happened about the ring, the history about the ring, and then I say it's so different, they thought, it's very different. I think we don't match too much. I don't know.
It's so funny. Let me say this. I was talking at my place of business to some guys. And he said, he asked me a question. He said, if I met if I met a Brazilian woman here in America, what should I look out for? I said, one telltale sign of them adhering to their cultural norms is how many American friends they have. Because most, like my wife said, Brazilians here in America, they gravitate towards other Brazilians, not because they don't want to be friendly with Americans. It's just because it takes a lot more work to warm up and become friends with them, especially women with women. And so most, like my wife, like even me, like we're in the Brazilian community here because it's just like, what you're going to get. You're going to get peace, you're going to get welcoming, you're going to get hospitable, you're going to get personable people. So there's not a whole lot of combativeness and trying to wonder if somebody's trying to take something from you. But yeah, so most Brazilian people that I know, it's not that they don't like Americans, it's just that it takes a lot more work to warm up and get into an American circle. So they kind of stay in their Brazilian community. I don't know if that answers your question, Al.
Well, no, because she seems to, she warmed up to you. You're an American guy. I look at it as this. In Latin America, they didn't get introduced to that feminist. They didn't get to introduce.
And you guys can check this show out at some point on my channel. It's called Our Afro-Latin Women, the New Black Woman. And, it never fails, guys. When we have these discussions, I don't get it. Because this channel is a channel for male empowerment. I've said several times that I have no consternation with good American sisters if they're good women. But guys, I need you to share this show because every time I do these shows, I'll lose a sub. Folks will get in the feelings. And I don't get it. But if you get upset with me for trying to empower black men, then you can leave. Because I rather deal with people that are open-minded than to deal with people that are very fickle and they want to control the narrative. No one controls me. I don't give a damn about this YouTube stuff. I'm a therapist by trade. But I do this because I love the brotherhood. You guys don't pay me enough money to care about subs. But I do it because I love the brotherhood. So we're going to have a discussion. I want the millennials to talk. I told Cool Kent that this show was for the millennials. And I got my man Chris Strongheart in the back, but I want some of the more guys. King, I want you to come up. Let's have a conversation. Guys, share the content. If you have not donated, Gail is dropping the links. And Gail, I'm going to send it again, dear. Donate to Cash App. $7 Smalls. Because, like I said, I love the brotherhood. And King, I want you to come up, brother, because I'm not here to attack you. I want to hear your position. Cam up, please. But this show is dedicated to the millennials. Cool Gent 87, I want you to come on too. Young Crab, what's going on, kid? What's going on? Unmute yourself, son. Unmute yourself, son. Unmute yourself.
You hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Yeah, to make sure everything was working. Mic check.
But hold tight, King. Hit the link, son. Come on. I want you to talk. You appear to be a young man. I'm not here to attack you. I want you to tell your story because, that's why we're having these conversations. This show was about male empowerment and more or less to give a dichotomy between what happened with the young man yesterday, also with Marvin Gaye saying, make me want to holler, but also the story of the American Brazilian. Go check out the full show when you guys get a chance. But as I said before, some people get triggered when we do shows about men traveling abroad. I don't understand why, because every person should have a right to do what's best for them, man or woman. I don't care if women do it either. And thank you, Gail. But guys, hit the link. And like I said, share the content because every time I do these shows, I take a hit. But Chris, you are a millennial. And what are you getting from this conversation, brother?
Oh, man, I'm getting a lot from this conversation, man. I'm getting a lot of facts. Shout out to Coach Greaves and the brother El Wapo. They spitting the truth. They speaking facts over there. You know what I'm saying? The brother, American Brazilian, he's married. You can see the joy on his face. You can see the peace on him. That's the biggest thing.
Right.
You can see the peace.
Right.
Peace. That's the biggest thing that we talk about is having that peace and tranquility in whatever your options are. You know what I'm saying? Seeing that peace on that man's face is gold. And we all understand that, brothers who travel. We know what that look is because we've all, that's something I feel like a lot of us are striving for. Now we're all trying to attain is, our little slice of whatever utopia we're trying to create. And to be able to see brothers who are actually doing it, actually living that life, it's a great thing, man. It really is.
Chris, you saw the kaleidoscope. I broke it down. This show is dedicated to the millennials. Cool Gent, I want you to cam up, man, if you feel comfortable. If you're at work, don't worry about it. But I want King 318 to come up because, King, I'm not here to attack you, young man. I don't know if you're a zennial or millennial. But King 318, I'm asking you kindly because this is what guys feel that in these spaces, a lot of times, anytime men speak up, a lot of times you can't tell the story of a man through text. And so what the guys are saying, King 318, they're presuming that perhaps you're trying to shame men by saying they're awkward and they have some level of accountability. But King 318, I want you to come up. I'm not going to attack you. This show is for zennials and millennials. You appear to be a zennial or millennial, I'm assuming. And it's just a discussion. I'm not going to attack you. I just want to get a better perspective. Guys, if King 318 come up, do not attack him. Let's hear what King 318 is saying because if you sub with me, King 318, I have no problems with you, young man. So come up, share your story because Chris said it earlier. Men get triggered. But Cool Gent, this show is dedicated to you, brother. You asked for it, so I gave it to you. What's your take on this show thus far? And what are you getting from this discussion? Hello. Cool Gent 87, can you hear me, sir?
Hey, how you doing? Yeah, it was kind of boring out. I don't know if because the connection we're in the storm. I don't know.
Okay, but this show is dedicated to you, brother. You asked for it, so you got it.
Yeah, I appreciate you. Thank you for having me on. Shout out to you, Chris. This is a great topic, though, man, that you were talking about, and a lot of us, millennial men and stuff, been growing up seeing all the things that we were taught by, our parents, how we're supposed to treat women and things of that nature. And when we got to a certain age, when it's time to date, we kind of find it difficult as time go on. Like, why is it everything seem like it's very short term? Because I know who I am as a man. I work on myself. I make sure I look in the mirror first before I point the finger to anybody else. So as time go on and stuff, I start to learn a lot more about, okay, now I'm starting to see like things that I never seen before or was never have been taught, by my parents, because the things that they taught us doesn't work here, like in this generation here, at least here in America anymore. So now it's like, it's time for a different path, watching you brothers and stuff, man, coming up, hearing about traveling ever since 2011, 2012, somewhere around that time, though, with some of the other vloggers at the time. And, it opened my mind up to like a lot of different possibilities. But, I don't hate, Western women, though, but just that my morals are incompatible, with this modern society. And so, we have to, keep our options open as men, because we have definitely went through a whole lot, I think out of any other man in, previous generations, though, because as time goes on, the Gen Z is coming up next, they're going to see this, and, depending on which way they're going to take. I mean, I believe a lot of them are going to, choose to exit out because they tired of dealing with the frustration here. I know what it's like being frustrated and stuff, not being able to have like long-term relationships, because there's always something wrong, with the woman. Like, they always have these issues. And, I said, man, this is just crazy. And, it's got to be a solution for it, So.
Well, Cool Gent 87, Chris Strongheart, he's a millennial. I'm assuming you're a millennial too. You saw that very terse and very turbulent episode yesterday. It appears this man was suffering in silence. Therefore, he had suicidal, homicidal ideation. What did that show do to you mentally when you saw that man eventually implode, which led to an explosion? And then, Chris, I want you to talk about what it did to you mentally as well.
Okay, watching that, seeing that clip with that man that killed his ex, another lady before that. So that reminds me of saying that that could have been any one of us, because I felt this frustration. I'm not saying that what he did was right. I'm not, taking this out on their part, but these are the things that we deal with consistently over here in the Western states, when you're not, when you're being starved out of companionship, you're not being treated well for the man who you are and stuff, and like he said in the video, you gotta stop, a lot of women gotta stop playing mind games and stuff, playing with a man's heart, because, that's part of our health too. So, it's just that, man, I don't want that to be any brother, man, like out there, that's going through this. I want them to come to your videos to find, healing and stuff, because I believe your content is healing,
Right.
It's definitely healing, man. A lot of y'all, man, like, y'all have no idea, like, y'all are doing like, great, work over here, man, and I just thank God for y'all, man. And this helping brothers out like myself too, to let myself know that, hey, there's hope out there. If this brother can go to this culture, he can go to this culture or that culture, other places, and he's getting results, and he's telling brothers like us, like, hey, should try it out, then it's for me. So I think that, it's powerful, as a content creator, that you put out, something that's going to be helpful and useful to the world. And this is life changing, man.
I appreciate it. I
definitely feel the brotherhood in this, this whole, sphere right here where we at right now. And your videos, some of the other brothers has really been helping me out, man, and I really thank you all so much for it, man.
Well, listen,
honestly.
Cool Gent, these shows are very time consuming. I've been having a lot of young brothers behind the scene. Young Crab, him and I, we were in Brazil a couple of weeks ago. And Chris gonna tell his story about being a millennial and dealing with toxic women. But I just don't understand it. I like what the lead attorney said, and he's correct. And the lead attorney was saying one time, when black men talk about the things that black men do, then all of a sudden our women give them applause. But when we start talking about empowering black men, then all of a sudden your mom is black and you hate black women. I don't get it. Well, actually, I do get it, because it sounds like to me is that many want taxation without representation. They don't want to compete for black men. They just think black men should just accept them as they are without having to compete like their mothers, their grandmothers, and their great-great-grandmothers. Those women had to compete for men. And as I tell you guys, every time I do these shows, my subs drop. And so, I do it for the brotherhood, because if I was doing it for the subs, I wouldn't do these kinds of shows. I'm not saying nothing controversial. I'm not saying anything wrong. But I'm just trying to empower the brotherhood. Chris, he talked about it. He said folks get triggered. So, Black King 318, you're doing a lot of typing. We're not going to hurt you, but I'm not going to keep clicking on your comments. If you want to come in and talk, fine. If not, I respect you, sir. But I don't have anything against you, Chris, cool gent. We don't. But this show is for the millennials and the zennials. Gail has dropped the link. If you guys have not donated, donate to Cash App $7 Smalls. Cash App $7 Smalls. Gail have dropped several things about to ways to commensurate or more or less help me out. If you guys don't have anything to share monetarily, just share the content. And thank you to all the guys that donated. Narc Experience, the Ingram Experience, Narc Perspective, Ingram Experience, to everybody else that donated that I have not more or less responded to. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for everything you guys have done. But let's get back to point, because this show was dedicated to Cool Gent 87 as a millennial, because I wanted to hear the millennials and zennials talk. Chris, what did that show when you saw that man take his life due to you mentally as a young man? And did you ever go to a point in your life, Chris, where you were homicidal and suicidal? Because you share what you want to share with the audience, but you were married at one point and you went through some similar things, and you share what you feel comfortable sharing. But what did that do to you mentally, Chris, when you saw that?
Well, first off, I've never been pushed to the point of violence. Of course, I was married. It was definitely a tough one. You know what I'm saying? We definitely had tense moments, but I never raised my hand against her. You know what I'm saying? It seems like situations may have gotten to that level where it seemed like it was going to get there, but I never let myself go that far. And then to speak on the show yesterday, it was very tough to watch a young brother. Well, I don't really know how old he is, but see a brother go through that type of trauma. You know what I mean? He's been hit upside the head with so many different directions of trauma. He's been a victim of all avenues of the matrix. Everything that we talk about as it pertains to what men need to do, it's like he didn't have any options. I bet he doesn't listen to any of this content and any of these brothers who talk this talk that talk about things that men can do to not feel like they have to deal with what is laid before them in the so-called presumed community. You know what I'm saying? So for a brother to have to see a brother go through that and understand that, I'm sure that there was a point where a lot of us had we'll call it traumatic issues that we have dealt with the women in the community. And, you know what I'm saying? We kind of had to sit back and be like, man, I need answers. And sometimes everybody, they don't always make it to a better path. You'll see some brothers just go all the way to the wayside. And that's unfortunate to see that happen. It was unfortunate to see him, have to go through that. Coach, like you talk about, to see brothers have to suffer in silence. I definitely say that he was the type of brother who was suffering in silence. It seemed like he had no other options in his mind. If I'm not mistaken, he said he was battling court cases with the baby mama and all this other stuff. And we also talked about, I forget, the brother yesterday got up on the panel. I think he mentioned something about attachment or being so attached to the situation that it'll drive you to basically make life altering decisions that you can't come back from. We'll say it that way. So to be so wrapped up in it and mentally feel like there's no way out, like that is so destructive, to our psyche or to your psyche if you don't know what to do. Right. So then that's why we preach and teach the, SYSBM and stuff like that, to let brothers understand and know that they have options. And, to be dealing, because what you saw right there was a brother. That's the end result of the gynocracy of men who don't know better. That's what that is. Right. And it's unfortunate, but That's what that is. I'm sure he didn't have brothers around him who were able to speak to him and tell him, like, look, bro, you need to move this way because this is going to destroy you. And it's unfortunate that we saw the end result online, and that brother took his life.
Shout out to my man Jamal Fully Love for the $20 cash app. Thank you, brother. Thank you for the donation. Much love and blessings. Thank you to everyone that have donated. Thank you, Jamal Fully Love. And this show, guys, is getting out to the UK. It's getting out to Canada. It's getting out to Britain. Many men are beginning to listen to this content as I am a licensed therapist, and I use art and clinical science to tell a greater picture because many men are suffering in silence. I'm going to ask you, Cool Gent 87. Had you ever thought about homicidal or suicidal ideations in the past due to a bad relationship? And how did you cope as a man?
Truth be told, as far as homicide and things like that, no, I haven't. I have been depressed, several times before, stuff like that, trying to figure out what was wrong. But throughout my life, I always have patience though, man. You know what I'm saying? To get through these things and try to find the best solution that I possibly can, to help, keep me away from thinking those particular thoughts and things like that towards other people, So, back to why I was saying that I just think, thank God that, you all are just, are putting out, this truth, and that, something that I need to hear. We all need to hear because, this is a healing process for a lot of us brothers, man.
Right.
It's very, very, very important. I remember hearing a story a couple of years ago how a guy, it was a similar situation, but he just went out and he just took an older man's life though, man, because of his woman, whatever, cheated on him, something like that, man. It was crazy. Yeah. So I said, man, this is why the traveling content is so important though, man. It's so important though, man. And it's healing. And we need this right now in this day and age because like the depression and things like that are at an all-time high right now, with the, black men. And it shows.
No, I totally agree, man. And what that was, Cool Gent 87 and Chris Strongheart, was a man that probably felt like he wasn't being heard. He said several times he was depressed. He said that, he didn't have family. And I told you guys that there are 7 steps that a man must go through in order to become optimized. Family, male, mental, and physical health is very important. We don't have family. Chris talks about culture and community. We don't even have a community. Anton Daniels said that the black community or black culture is trash, and he wasn't saying that to denigrate black people. He's just trying to say that it's nowhere what it used to be. And most people, because they're not critical thinkers, they ran away with it. But do you think Chris Strongheart and Cool Gent 87, if these women were honorable like Talita, the wife of the American Brazilian, this man would have been alive today? What's your guys' take on that?
Want me to go first?
Yes, sir.
Well, I will most definitely say, yeah. I mean, if he was dealing with something, a woman like that, or a situation like that, I'm sure that he wouldn't have been in that type of situation where he felt like all hope is lost, and he doesn't have any other options, and he doesn't know what to do. Dealing with somebody who's going to be there for you, somebody who is going to understand you, and essentially, give you that peace that you're looking for. It's most certainly life-changing. So, of course, there's no doubt in my mind that, if he would have had somebody on his level, like a Talita, then, of course, he most definitely would have been in a different situation.
No, I totally agree. I think he would have been in a different situation as well, Chris. What's your take on the Cool Gent on 318? And shout out to Bravo Hammer for the $5 pound. I'm supporting your platform. You're providing essential information for the brothers to take abroad. Thank you, brother. And like I said, guys, when I do these shows, subscribers drop. I don't know why. It's weird to me because I'm not saying anything wrong. This woman is an Afro-Latin woman, but it appears that the black men can't have options, man. and I don't get it because, as I said earlier, if you want a good black man, you got to compete for him. But what's your take on this, Cool Gent? And I want some of the more of the millennials to come on and talk, millennials and zennials. Do you feel like black men are seen as commodities instead of seen as human beings, Chris and Cool Gent? Because anytime black men say I'm going to exercise my options, there's shame in language, or there are people that try to kick them back on the plantation. What's your take on that, brother?
Yes, absolutely. They look at us as less than animals. Within the society and stuff. They make us, growing up, they try to make you feel like that you're not good enough. As a black man, you didn't create nothing, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. But deep down inside, now we know that we found out the truth. The lies have been exposed now. So now with the options that we all have now, it's like I am more valuable, I am more worthy. I do love myself more now. You know what I'm saying? I do have a brotherhood that supports me and that I support. We hit because it's like, we all we got right now. We all we got because everybody in this, particular Western world is pretty much against us though. But all we have is each other's backs though, man, as of now.
Right. Chris, what's your take on that? And then also to some of the guys to the listener, I want some of the Zennials and Millennials to come back on because this show is dedicated to millennials and zennials. I want more millennials and zennials to come on. But then if there are no millennials and zennials, I want some of the Gen Xers to come on because it's my divine mandate is to inspire the younger generation. Some of the young men are young enough to be my son. I'm 50. Chris, call him Young Crab. He's young enough to be my son. More like a little brother, but he also can be my son. But also Cool Gent, you're a young guy. And so I do these shows because many times black men don't have outlets. Many white men don't have outlets, but definitely black men. But when you think about, Marvin Gaye wrote the song Chris and Cool Gent, Making Me Want to Holler. When have you guys been hollering on the inside, but you felt like you weren't being heard?
All right, want me to go?
Yes,
you threw me two questions. So, to walk it back as far as like, the situation or the dynamic between black men and black women, basically, to me that, there's a lack of respect. You know what I'm saying? Black women generally don't respect black men because they don't feel that they have to. We can pull the world apart trying to figure out, where it started and, who did what first and point what finger and what elbow. But to be honest, we got to deal with the now. And the reality of the situation is that men are talking and they're not satisfied with what has been getting said about us, over the last, couple decades, a few decades, I guess, and it really comes down to essentially, and I was talking to my brother about this the other night. It's almost like you're a property of the black woman. And how do they exercise that? Disagree with her, see what happens. Everything is good as long it don't even have to be anything major. You could be out in public, because we all done it before. And now I do it on purpose to exercise that no, I'm not your property. Is you could meet a black woman you don't even know at a counter somewhere who works somewhere, and she can make a comment. You can say like, no, I don't see it like that, sis. I disagree with her. Oh, you disagree? She's going to be surprised that you disagree, because as black men, you're essentially trained, to almost not go against what the black woman is essentially not telling you, but like guiding you to do. It's almost like because they've been your teachers, they've been, obviously your mothers, if you had older sisters, and that's why we say that if you look at our, community in general, it's most certainly matriarchal.
It's definitely matriarchal, right? That's why I laugh at it.
Yeah, and that's exactly. And that's why, some people try to root that to Africa and all this other stuff. But you know what I'm saying? Just like the example that Kevin Samuels gave, it's just like, show me Themyscira. Show me the places that women built by themselves, the civilizations and empires that they built, fought for and defended, and it still stands to this day. Where are those empires at? Anywhere where you have these, because the mentality is that they're leading, or it's their place to be leading the culture. That's why they get so offended when you talk against the culture, because you're talking against them specifically and what they feel like they're in charge of. So you're essentially diametrically opposed to how they perceive things when you disagree with the quote unquote climate of the culture. That's why it's such an issue when you disagree, because it's almost like plantation politics. It's like you're trying to say, hey, we need to get up out of here. And they're just like, where you going? It's fine here. And you like, we still on the plantation. What's wrong with you? We need to get up out. But see, it's the mentality of everything is fine here. Why are you complaining? So as men, you know, we're starting to be like, look here, because a lot of men feel like they have that guilt. That's a lot of men have that guilt in them where they feel like they have to date somebody who's black. They have to date a black woman, or they have to defend the community and this and that. Where it's
No,
just
you
like,
don't.
you know what I'm saying? It's just like, bro, you have to understand that you and your interests come first, and you should be leading, right? And whatever you have, your empire that you have set up that you're trying to build, she's supposed to come in and nest, okay? I mean, because me personally, I'm not about this 50-50, let's build it together and all this stuff, because that always lead to chaos. Because especially in this country, what you call it, Rose, what you call it, Rose,
Amber Rose.
No, not Amber Rose, no, gender roles, gender roles,
right?
Gender role. There's an issue with gender roles. You know what I'm saying? Because women have, modern women. Let me paraphrase. Modern women have an issue with gender roles in this country, because if you say something like, you know, hey, what you cooking tonight? Oh, why I gotta cook? Why can't you cook? You know what I'm saying? Why don't you see? Because what we get away from, and this is something that's been talked about throughout the manosphere, is modern women want traditional men. You know what I mean? And it's like there's an issue or there's a problem when a man would say something to you simply like, hey, what you want to cook tonight? And it's just like she wants to get all up in arms about it. But it's just like, ladies, why don't you want to be traditional? Why do you want to be these boss chick CEOs and all this other nonsense that's not leading anywhere? I mean, like, you know, like I mean, I was on the internet today, and apparently just to go there, you know, 50 Cent apparently was beefing with Madonna over some foolishness. And it's just like, she what's in her 60s still out here on the internet being wild. It's just like, come on, man. Like, is that really the future that y'all want? You know what I'm saying? If so, you can have it. It's fine. We're going over here. At least the brothers I associate with, we're going over here with it. We're taking our ball and we're going to an away game somewhere to set up a new home. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And we're not, that's why I'm saying, that's why for me, I don't really get too animated about, you know what I'm saying, the opinions that some women may have about what we do. I don't really care. You know what I mean?
Right. No, you can't care. And I made up in my mind.
Yeah.
In this journey, in these YouTube spaces, you're going to gain genuine people that won't change. You're going to have trolls mixed in, you know, like a Trojan horse. They really don't have no really true desire for empowerment. They're agitators, you know. They're agitators, Chris and Cool Gent. They seek to disrupt the happiness of black men doing what's best for them. I showed you guys firsthand experience of black men from a small anecdotal perspective, using the clinical world we call a qualitative perspective, almost like a survey. I did that intentionally. It took me a lot of time to get this editing done. That's why I tell you guys to support the channel, because this work is very time consuming. But I showed you guys firsthand evidence of this man that took his life, his baby mama life, and his ex-wife life. You heard from the American Brazilian talking about the struggles he went through before he got married. You hear Cool Gent talking about his struggles. You hear Chris Strongheart talking about his struggles. But you say you love black men, but you don't want to see black men empowered. But you get mad when black men are dealing with black women from other countries that are black just like you. I don't get it. Because if you want better, you got to be better. You got to compete for top tier men. But you want the ring, but you don't want to put in work. You think that man's sacrifice just comes just because. To any young man that's listening, any woman you deal with, if she's not willing to put in work and to define herself or make herself being deemed as your prize, then you go where you're going to be celebrated. Because Chris Strongheart is a living example. You guys heard it firsthand when I was at Christ the Redeemer statue, where I interviewed Global Mall. I'm going to try to get Global Mall on my channel at some point. Men are getting frustrated with dating options here in America. And I get the argument. Some say, well, the women, they're good women, are being overlooked too. Well, I'm sure that's a percentage, but I still think with 29% of men being virgins, I promise you 29% of women are not virgins. I promise you that. I promise you 29% of American women are not virgins. I promise you that guys that are 5'8" don't feel like they're hobbits because they can't get good women. Shout out to my man, Nart Perspective. He's a little hobbit like Chris. He's a hobbit. Him and Chris are hobbits, man. They ain't got this 6'6" swag like me, but I'm having fun.
Hey man.
But I do this, guys, because the millennials and the zennials are the future. I'm going to expire at some point. Me and the Ingram experience, we ain't going to be here forever. We're going to be in the damn old folks' home about 20 years, 25 more years from now. We're going to have bad hips and bad knees. And so we do these shows because we want to inspire young men. You know, King 318, you know, I've asked you several times to come on. You're still talking in the chats, and, you know, I need you to cam up because, you know, you're either a man or a woman. If you say you're a man, to cam up. You're constantly asking Sweet Little Bean, is she married? Well, cam up, brother. You know, if you're a brother, cam up, let's have a conversation. Shout out to Casual Observer 2002. And guys, if King can't come up and talk, then stop interacting with King 318. King 318, I've been kind, I've been generous. I want you to come up and talk. But you're constantly talking in the chat, but you won't come up and talk with the brothers. If you don't feel like camming up, that's fine. But come up, let's have a conversation. But if you're not going to have a conversation, there's no need to continue to chat back and forth. The guys are not going to attack you. Ingram told you to come up. I told you to come up. We want to hear your perspective. They're not going to attack you. I'm not going to allow them to attack you. If they attack you, I will put them on mute, but you're still talking in the chat. But shout out to the Casual Observers for the $2 super chat. He said 50-50 is how Indians, Chinese, and Arabs will. Wow, that's interesting. That's very interesting. And but the discussion goes on. The discussion goes on. I want some of the more of the Zennials and Millennials to come up because Chris is giving some good points. We live in a time when many men feel like they're not heard. Chris, when you talk about hollering due to social injustice, you talked about it in the past show, Chris, about the struggles you had in the court system with your little son. Do you mind sharing with the brothers, man, some of the pain you went through with not having 100% custody of your son, and what struggles you continue to deal with due to the lack of fairness and equity in the court system?
Well, as far as lack of fairness, I'll put it this way. When we first separated, we talked about trying to reconcile and stuff like that. Maybe we can make something happen, shake something out. But it didn't work. You know what I mean? Time was being wasted, games was being played. So, you know, full disclaimer, I divorced her. You know what I mean? I sent the paperwork up to her. I know it's not common, but I was just like, no, because I wasn't standing for it. You know what I mean? And I sent the paperwork up there, and you know, now this is while I was in Texas, and what I did was sent the paperwork up there and outlined in the paperwork I was going for joint custody, no big deal. You know what I'm saying? We had already pretty much agreed that, you know, things ain't gonna work. We're not really reconciling. It's not working out. I was like, all right. So I did what was necessary. I'm not finna play in this what is it gonna be area for years. It's not happening. So sent up the paperwork, joint custody, and looking like everything's just gonna kind of roll and it's gonna be all right. But you know, like everybody was telling me, just like you don't know what kind of woman you married till you divorce. You know what I mean? You don't understand what it is until you go through a divorce. And you know, I think it was maybe sometime later, maybe a couple weeks later, 3 weeks later, I got a notification in the mail letting me know that the state she's in is taking full custody of the case. Essentially, Texas is losing all of this, and we're gonna take this upstate to where she is. And I was just like, how's that happening? You know what I mean? I thought we got this already set up. Like, no, they're taking the full entire case, they're taking it upstate where she is. And when she got her way, I got no custody. You know what I'm saying? No custody. Like it was on some crazy stuff, because I just was like, I'm thinking this is gonna be civil, it's gonna be amicable, you know, it's gonna be straight. And nah, she set it up to where, you know, I got like visitation rights, you know what I'm saying, involving my child, you know, if I'm wanting to go see him. And the way it's outlined in the documents is more like, you know, I have to make a request. I have to like fill out some for like a letter, you know, going up there like 2 hours a day on the weekend type situation and stuff like that. And it was crazy for 2 hours a week, 2 weekends, like in 1 month. Like you know, he can't lead the state and all kind of craziness she wrapped up. And I was just like, why did you do this? You know what I'm saying? And then now this was later, and I asked her about, you know, what's the deal? You know what I'm saying? And she just was like, oh, well, you know, the state did it this way and this and this. I didn't have nothing to do with that. I'm like, yeah, right. And, you know, we even through that, there was a period where I was going to see him as long as, you know, it was kind of basically on her, you know, her tune, essentially, right? And that didn't work out very long because I wasn't having it. You know what I'm saying? I have to, you know, gather all my resources just to go up there. We couldn't work anything out to where he would come see me, and you know what I mean, we could, you know, bring him down to see my family. And so that inevitably broke down. And then, you know, now it's almost like it's like, what do you call, like the DMC line over there in Korea? You know what I'm saying? It's just like a cold standoff right now. You know what I'm saying? So that's basically how my situation has been shaken out. And there's no real, you know what I'm saying, communication between me and her. Like, we don't talk because ain't nothing to talk about, really. I mean, ain't nothing really much to say. But I mean, I could get into more details about how things be shaking out, and I'll be trying to communicate with her, like, you know what I'm saying, let's talk about stuff, you know what I mean? Let's you know, let's talk more, or at least, you know, for him, let's communicate. But of course, we haven't really gotten to that point yet. So yeah, man, it can be real, you know what I'm saying? Divorces can be a real situation, man. It can be real heavy, you know. But for me, what I look at is that, you know, every time I go see my son, and when he sees me, you know what I mean, he knows who his daddy is. It ain't nothing like that. You know, he doesn't hate his dad. It's nothing crazy like that. You know what I mean? So there will come a time, you know, all it takes is a, you know, phone call, and especially whenever he gets phone or stuff like that, like that'll all be smacked down easily, and we'll start having more open lines of communication. I expect to have a phone as early as probably like 15. You know what I'm saying? So other people get more upset about it than I do, but me personally, I'm cool as a fan about it, because I have foresight into, I knew this was gonna happen, for one, and I know how this is gonna end.
Right.
Because I told her years ago, I just was like, hey, what you doing right now, you only hurting our kid. You only hurting him. You can have your grudges and be bitter all you want, but you are only being destructive to that child.
And I think that resonates, Chris, so much, because you heard the young man say before he took his life, he said, I don't have family. He don't have family, man. You could feel the pain. He was so casual with his executions, man. You know, you can tell the brother was probably going through, in the clinical world, what we call disassociation, or he was dealing with depersonalization and derealization, because it is weird, you know, that you would see what that brother went through, man. You know, and it's unfortunate. Shout out to my man Ty, what I call the 3/4 line. You know, he ain't a real Leo like me. But that's my young homie. He's a millennial, a zennial. He's a millennial. And before we hear from Brother Ty, shout out to Radiology X5 for the $5 super chat. And you're correct, she must champion you in order to get the ring. It's very important. And so we're having this conversation with the millennials and the zennials, because the millennials and the zennials are going to carry the torch in the future. Ty, what are you getting from this conversation, brother? But also, let's talk about some of the things that you went through as a man dealing with caustic child support laws. And also, have you more or less suffered in silence and have had homicidal and suicidal ideations in the past? And it's a loaded question, but let me reframe it. Have you had homicidal or suicidal ideations in the past? What do you think about this this man taking his life and his women's lives? And talk about a time when you felt like hollering as a man. Are you there, Ty?
Well, yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead, brother.
Alrighty. So, as you guys know, I'm Ty Kuttner, image coach, and also I help guys who are going through betrayal situations similar to this young man. You know, unfortunately, that is a very bad situation. This is something that I hear about all the time, right? So I speak to guys on a daily basis who are going through divorces, separations, their kids are being taken away from them, they're being put in jail, you know, all those things. And the reason why I'm helping guys like this is because I went through similar things, you know, and I figured out a way to get out of it. Now you asked about suicidal ideation. I went through my situation with my son's mom where she was cheating on me like 8 years ago. And I never thought to commit suicide, but when that was going on, I realized why I got wood, right? I knew that sunken feeling that I felt, I understood why God would do that. One of the things that, you know, you talk about cultural conditioning, you talk about men understanding women psychology and women and female nature. This is something that men need to understand, right? This is something that is very important for men to understand how the woman sees the world, right? Once we start understanding that, I think a lot of us will have less animosity towards them and hate towards them, and we will understand how to operate properly within ourselves. Women are much more connected to nature. They're just like the wind is, right? They're just like, and you say it to them, they don't understand it, they don't see it, but through our eyes, we see them just like we look at nature. Once we start seeing them in that way, we can start operating in a proper way, right? When it's raining outside and you walk outside and you get mad that you get wet, it's not the rain's fault. Go outside with an umbrella. Same thing with women. When they start acting the way they act, the things that they do, it is up to the man to understand how to navigate himself. And that's what I teach guys, right? And this is stuff that I learned beating my head up against the wall, trying to get a woman to do all these things, trying to get her to act right, I'm wasting my time. Just like if I was trying to change the weather with my mind. It's a waste of time, and I'm neglecting myself in that process. I'm neglecting my own mission in life if I'm focused on a woman and her behavior. You don't have time for that. That's when a man gets sunken into place, because when a woman is going through things like that with a man, she's very unstable. You get in there with her, you're going to be unstable.
You're on
mute.
I think that faltering or more or less waning of female nature is amplified with unjust court laws. You know, do you think, Todd, that situation could have been abated if we had more traditional feminine women like the American Brazilian's wife? Because he talked about his trials with being married to 2 American women, and you know, he was divorced twice. But now he has the clarity and the peace of mind he needs to complete his mission as a man. Do you think it could have been abated if the women were more feminine and understanding, like women in foreign countries?
Yeah, what I think is happening is that women are changing. Women are becoming less feminine, right? Largely because of the feminist movement, the women liberations movement, all these movements that women are pushing forth. Men are slow to change, you know, because if any changes are made, we're the ones who have to deal with the problems or the repercussions of that change. So we want to set things in place, and are it's working, let's leave that the way it is. We build on technology, we build on what we do, and when women start to change, right, the person that's next to us, when they start changing, we don't really have recourse for that right away. Right? We don't have, and that's what's happening with men now. Men are becoming confused, and men are trying to get women to be back to go back to being the way they were before. And that's the reason why men are going to other countries where that infection of that women's movement is hurting women too. They don't realize it. It's a lot of them don't realize it, but it's hurting them too. That women movement is like a virus, and it hasn't really affected all countries yet. Mainly the countries that don't speak English. It's like on YouTube and the music and the certain media that we have out there is flooding these other countries and making the women and men incompatible with each other. And that's what's happening here in the States. And a lot of men are trying to stay traditional, especially Black men, you know, especially because we went through, if you're a millennial, I'm 81. I was born in 81. So I'm like right on the borderline of millennial. So we men, a lot of us are born without our fathers wasn't in our lives. So all the guys that I know who are my peers are great fathers.
Right.
Whether they're with the woman or not, they're great fathers because they don't want to be like how their mom said their dad was. He wasn't around. He wasn't. So these generation of guys are being exceptional fathers, right? Going above and beyond to be fathers. But what you have here is you have now women are pulling themselves away, and they use the kid because they know you want to be a good father. They use the kid to get you to act the way they want you to act, right? But the thing is, when a man starts acting the way a woman wants him to act, she's gonna change her mind. Today is this, tomorrow is that. I want you to do this today. Now I want you. Oh, they're gonna change their mind all the time. So it is not in the best interest of a man to be acting the way a woman wants him to act, or be listening to what a woman tells him he should be doing. She doesn't know what it means to be a man. She's not in a man's world. She don't know the problems that we see beyond her eyes, right? Similar to we in traffic. I'm inside of a semi. I can see beyond what a regular car, a sedan could see. You can't see what's ahead. I can. That's how our vision is compared to what women is, right? There's value in both. There's value in both. And so if we have more feminine women, this situation wouldn't be happening. If we had court systems that weren't bending to this feminist movement, we wouldn't have situations like this. Okay. I think that at some point things are going to start shifting back.
Well, I think that's
like
shifting. Right. I think that's shifting, and that was an excellent expose, Todd. But I think that shifting is going to come when black men start saying, and American men in general, white or black, are going to be like Chris Strongheart, going to be like Cool Gent, going to be like you, especially the millennials and the zennials, where you guys are saying, you know what, enough is enough. Because what women don't understand, the power of the feminine oscillation is what motivates men to be competitive and to work hard. And what a lot of men are saying now is that, what am I getting in return? And you're right, Ty. So many men were browbeaten by their moms, their dads won't ish, he's no good. That they internalize that to become better men, but at the same time, were the women getting better themselves? Starting with Cool Gent, based on the stir of the American Brazilian, and when you look at the American Brazilian and Marvin Gaye said, makes me want to holler, the way they do my life. What did you see from that clip with the American Brazilian and his beautiful wife, Talita? And what do you aspire for as a man as relates to a traditional conservative wife? And before you answer, shout out to MC Recovery and Wellness Relapse. He said, love the work you're doing, KC. My 14-year-old son had Pornhub on his phone. I blocked it. The talk I had with him, wow. Yeah, you gotta do a lot of parenting because these kids are inundated with so much. But back to point, Cool Gent. What do you think about the question I just asked you a minute ago? And I know it was loaded, but if you can break it down for me, please do.
Oh, yeah, the brother with the Brazilian sister?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So when you think about the American Brazilian, his story, do you aspire one day to find a beautiful feminine woman that's traditional and that can complement you as a man?
Oh, most absolutely, though, man. Because femininity, can do things. They could push a man to be great, beyond things that we could ever imagine, though. A lot of women here in the Western world don't really understand that at all. So, shout out to those couples right there, though. And seeing that, him going elsewhere to find somebody that, suit his needs, compliment him, uplift him, knowing that he's the man that he is, with respect, it's very, inspirational, and that tells brothers like me and other brothers around, this country, to see like, hey, wow, I just saw this brother's story that he went somewhere else, to find a woman that respects him for who he is, and know that he is a king, and that, his story, gonna change lives. And that's something we need to see, because we don't see that very often in the Black community, here in the Western world, because, they always put like a bad light on us, a bad image on us. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So we're in all four corners of the earth. That right there, saying that, man, I'm really happy for him. And I do want to see more brothers happy, though, man, because especially, millennials and Gen Z coming up, for the ones who may not have kids or have not found their mate yet, this right here gives us a lot of inspiration, though, man, letting us know that there is hope. You don't have to settle for less here, in the Western world, just keep your eyes open, and just, all by changing your mindset first and foremost.
Well, you guys heard those young men give their story about their struggles of dating. You know, the guy Global Mall, shout out to him. I interviewed that young brother when I was in Brazil at Christ the Redeemer statue in Rio. Him and I had a good conversation. And he talked about, he's a truck driver, he has 3 trucks, owns a trucking company. He owns a trucking company. And you keep hearing the same stories. That's why I do these shows, because in the universality of brotherhood and group therapy, there's something called a shared experience. And everybody's telling the same story about the horrors of dating in modern America. Starting with Tom Maynard Cutner, what are some of the struggles you've had with dating in modern America? And do you dream that one day you'll find a beautiful woman like Talita, the wife of the American Brazilian, that can help calm your mind as a man?
Well, one of the first things that I realized when I got out of my relationship with my son's mom several years ago was things have changed. You know, I was in a relationship for 13 years. Things have changed. I changed, you know, and now I'm a single man and I'm going out there. I was in my 30s at the time, you know, late 30s. And the women I'm dating, they're around that age as well. And I realized that what I was getting was not what I wanted, right? The way that they were speaking, the way that they would brag about what they have and all these things, similar to what a man would do in a relationship, you know, and they weren't attractive the way I was expecting them to be, the way I remember women being when I was, you know, out there, you know. Today I only date younger women, right? So I only date younger women. And even that can be a challenge because a lot of women, even at a younger age, early 20s, are still being like indoctrinated with this whole ideal of what they should get and what they need to get from men, you know, and it's toxic. It's like a virus almost, you know. In regards to finding
why do you say it's toxic? Why is it toxic, Ty? In your own estimation, tell the audience why it's toxic.
Because it makes men and women incompatible. We're not supposed to be separate. There's no country where there's only men, or country where there's only women, or a state where there's only women, or a city where we're supposed to be together. There's no way. If a woman has a child, that child could be a boy or a girl, right? We're not supposed to be separate. And when we start to separate in this way, everybody loses, but women lose the most, because if women don't have men, then they're going to be victimized by men. When you don't have a man there to protect you, you're going to be a victim of another man. You're not built to be on your own, and you have something intrinsic that men want, which is your body, because that's the only way a man could reproduce himself, which is the true success of a cellular being. Every cellular being is trying to reproduce. We can only reproduce through the female body. That's why we're attracted to you initially, like on a cellular level. If you don't have any protection, then from a man, a man can only protect you. You can't be protected by a group of women. You know, powerful pattern, men are going to destroy all of y'all. So you have to have men. So we have to be together. Women are supposed to be socialized to be compatible with men, and be socialized to be able to the women in their life so they can reproduce in that way, their family. So we have these issues between us, and now everyone is losing. Women don't realize they're losing, but this is the reason why they're complaining so much. That's how they show. That's how they show their frustration through complaining and nagging and all that. That's why we get. That's why it's on YouTube now. There's a lot of men, a lot of content creators are frustrated with women. They like talking on stuff. They're frustrated because they're tired of hearing complaining. Women are going to continue complaining until they have men in their lives. Women who have men on their lives, they're not on these YouTubes and they're not in here complaining on memes and all that stuff. They're happy with the men in their life. Right.
It's almost like a frog boiling in a pot, but they don't even know that they're being boiled alive. Rheology XM, brother, unmute yourself. How would you like to add to the conversation, brother? And thank you for the $5 super chat. Thank you, sir.
No problem. First and foremost, yeah, Cool Gent, he referred me to your channel, so for sure. What's up, Cool Gent?
Shout out to you,
yeah, man. So yeah, I heard you have some good content. I've checked out some of it thus far. It's been great. So
thank you.
Yeah, but to add to your conversation, with the brother man said earlier about the female nature aspect of it, and everybody like comes from different places. So here's kind of like my unique perspective on it. For me, to be honest, like I've never tried to actually understand female nature just because of its tendencies. You have also with society, with the way it nurtures the female nature with a lot of the laws and bylaws and stuff. So I think more or less there comes a time when once she understands the male nature, she actually starts to understand more about her own nature.
Right.
But she has to reflect the man and learn about his ways. So that's why you get a lot of these arguments when, they be like, well, what type of woman do you want? And you got some guys that are confused. Well, that's because you supposed to be telling her the type of woman she needs to be in your life, the
That's a
type of
good point.
woman you want her to be.
That's a good point.
Facts.
Excellent point. That's a good point. That's a good point. And you know what, brother, you're right, Reality XM. The reason why we can't tell them because we don't have enough strong masculine men, but also because we don't have a stronger patriarchy. When, I did a show yesterday and I think it was my man Karan S was saying that women in other countries, they like dealing with American men, especially American black men, because they take what the Latin men won't take. Well, what men don't understand is that women will do one or two things. They will become the woman you expect them to become, or they will become extinct. You harness the power to change that woman because the woman should be a reflection of you. You're the sun, she's the moon. She should reflect your glory as a man. And that's why I do these shows because, like I said, guys, there are agitators that come to these shows to derail the argument or derail the conversation. They don't want to see you liberated. They want to keep you on the plantation, like Chris was saying earlier. They don't want to see you empowered. They want you to be a mule. And then men that become mules eventually snap and become runaway mules. And a lot of men are running away because they're sick of it. And we don't live in a world where we hold our women accountable to the same level that we hold our men. Every brother on this panel loves black women. But black women are not limited to black women in America. And as Bishop Charles D. Williams said, y'all ain't gonna talk to me. But they're not limited to black women in America. And like Chris Strongheart said, talk to me, I say.
Talk to me.
Talk to me.
Talk to me. Talk to me.
Yeah.
And so we do these shows, guys, because it's about male empowerment. It's time for men to get empowered. Radiology XL, I want you to talk about a time where you've dealt with toxic women that caused you to have what's called suicidal, homicidal ideation.
Yeah, I'm definitely not going to be on this panel acting like as if that's never been me. You do see that out here in these spaces a lot with a lot of player and quote unquote alpha male channels. They like, I ain't never had those problems. Well, I've had those problems. So one time I've had, I could go back to almost 15 years ago. And it was based on me being a much younger guy at that time. I was in my 20s. And the gal gave me an ultimatum to be with her. We had some sex, so she gave me an ultimatum to be with her. So, I was like, okay, yeah, I don't want you to think I'm just using you for sex, but come to find out, she didn't keep her end of the commitment. And, when a man loves, he loves hard. He loves
hard. Right, exactly.
Yeah. And so when I felt she didn't love me, it was already too late. I was already, but the thing is about me, I've always had a certain way about myself to where I never like to be held down by a chick, especially if she's not in her true femininity. But the only problem with that is with just with the way a lot of things go in this world, if you're not focused a certain way, it's easy for her to get the best of you. And so I had to deal with that at one point. I kind of got off track. And yeah, she got me in this spiral to where she wasn't coming back. She was in and out of my life, very narcissistic. And she said something, what really triggered me, and I don't mind sharing this information, but what triggered me was when she had said that I was retarded.
Oh, wow.
And so I come from a background, actually, a lot of people don't know, but I had a speech impediment when I was younger.
Yes, sir, right.
So I went to a school for special needs when I was younger. So when she said that I don't know, at that point, I had to leave out that house. my legs was shaking, my whole body started trembling. I didn't know what I was gonna do. I said, let me get out this house right now, because I was at a mama's house. And I think had I not did that, I could have very well been like brother man out of Baltimore. Because yeah. And you know, some people out here in these spaces act like, well, he could have controlled himself. Everybody's different.
There you go. I was about to say that everybody's different.
Bingo.
You're right. And you don't know, you made an excellent point, and you're right. And everybody trigger and everybody toleration threshold is different. Some folks say he was weak. Some people say he shouldn't have done it. Some folks say he was a coward. But you don't know, everybody got a different toleration threshold. You don't know the level of his pathology and how long he carried that. That's why we're doing these shows, because men tend to suffer in silence. A broken man is a hopeless man. A hopeless man is dangerous. That's why I do these shows, because what that idiot said when she said that to you about your speech impediment, that does not mean that you're retarded. So she's the one retarded, because mental retardation is due to your IQ. You can be a stutterer, but it doesn't mean that you're intellectually defunct. I was a special ed teacher, so I know what I'm talking about. And so that's the ignorance. And see, that's a lack of disrespect. But see, in other countries, if women disrespect their men, and I'm not advocating violence, they'll get their jaws slacked. You disrespect men in other countries, you'll lose your life. That's why women here got slick mouths, because men don't slacken their jaws. And I'm not advocating for violence. Please hear me, I'm not advocating for violence. But in other countries, when women disrespect their men, like Guapo was talking about, it's a concept called femicide. I know, I've talked to natives in Brazil. Chris, he's been there. Chris, correct me if I'm wrong. You can lose your life. Me and Chris was at a restaurant. The girl was talking greasy. The guy cussed her out and started talking to her. She started crying, and she shut right up. Am I talking right or wrong, Chris? Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you on point.
You know, and so I keep telling guys, if you're not getting the outcomes that you want here, because needs drive behaviors, go where you're celebrated. Don't worry about the trolls that try to shame you to dealing with women, saying, oh, you're not man enough, or you're not a man, or you can't handle a woman. Who got time to waste their energy and time on women that don't know how to act? You go get with a woman that can respect you in your program, because it's your program. Because I'm going to tell you something. A lot of chicks in America, not all, but many are not loyal. Social media has caused a lot of women to be very narcissistic. And I talked about the conscious simp and the unconscious simp, and you said something that was very powerful, Radiology XM. You talked about feeding those narcissistic traits. An unconscious simp is somebody that supplements irrational male patterns. Most men have not been conditioned to become men. They have been conditioned to become males, because when you become a man, you put away childish things. And that's why I do this shows, because the socialization of most modern men is very negative and very low, because we don't have standards. We just tolerate anything. You got chicks in the 500 pounds, man, say they want a man that's 6'3" and make six figures, but she 500 pounds. That's crazy, scary, and very delusional. And
I got it. If you don't
stand up, go ahead.
I don't mean to cut you off, but I want to really say something about that, the 500-pound part. And you said the 6 foot part. And why you think they want a guy over 6 inches? So they can try to reach through those layers. Like, you got to cut off some of those layers.
Right.
It's crazy, man.
Right. But like I said, guys, share this content, because when I do shows like this, folks get triggered. They unsubscribe, which I don't care, by the way. Because if you unsubscribe due to your feelings being hurt, you're not mature enough to be on my channel. I'm not going to stop my message of male empowerment. My job is to empower men so that we can empower our women. Once we empower our women, we can empower the community. But how many of you guys dream of having a wife like Talita? How many of you guys dream of that? How many of you guys dream of having a wife like that young woman?
Let me go in. I'll go in.
Go ahead,
All
Chris.
right. Well, now see me, first of all, if I was looking, you know what I'm saying, because right now I'm not looking to be married, but in the context of what I'll be looking for, I could definitely see, that type of situation like a Talita. But for me right now, I'm not really on board with the construct of the constitution of marriage or the construction of marriage, because I feel like it's not necessary, to bring in a third party right now. You know what I'm saying? To to have a family at this point. But I would say that you should be married before you start having kids. I mean, I'm on that side of the aisle with it as well. It's just that me personally, right now, I'm not interested in having any more kids at this point in my life. Who knows what the future holds for me? But as I continue to move around, continue to travel, and as I continue to get closer to setting myself up down in Brazil, I mean, possibly when I'm older, I could be looking at, a marriage, but I would say the only thing that would lead me down the path of entertaining a marriage is if I am planning on having more children. If I'm not really looking to have more children, then I don't see the point of marriage. But even for LTR, what they call long-term relationship, LTR. But in that situation, though, I still would definitely like to have somebody around who is in that kind of energy, like a Talita. So that's definitely the way to go. That's definitely what you should be looking for right there.
Mm-hmm. Right. No, I totally agree. What's your take, Cool Gent, on what the brother said?
Oh yes, absolutely. As I always say, if a woman doesn't bring you peace, then you really don't need her at all. Because that's what I'm all about. Can you add more value to my life? Can you do the simple things that women from previous generations have done? Cook, clean, of course. Teach. What I'm saying? When I have children, what I'm saying, help go about the right way. Train your daughters up, to be feminine. As I teach my sons, to be masculine and know how to carry himself, respect himself, and authority out here. But see, the problem, in this Western world is that there, it's chaos because there ain't no rules, because they think they, hey, I'm getting away with all this stuff, but everything comes with the price, though, with what you do in your life. Every little thing, though. So at the end, they got to pay. And I'm seeing a lot of things really starting to change, man, with this truth being spoken out, by us brothers, though, man, because when we all come together, man, we are one powerful collective, man, very powerful here right now, man. And I see a lot of this changing, and I see, women and stuff on other live streams, man, getting upset and stuff. But I'm saying, okay, that means the message is working out there, and it needs to be said.
Right. It needs to be said.
Spread throughout generations, of black men. We need to hear this, man. All of us.
Oh yeah, man. I'm gonna keep pushing the message. Like I told you guys, I know I lost some subscribers today. It's all good. That's why I tell you guys to share the content. Share with like-minded people. Share with like-minded people, because if some of these chicks think I'm going to change my message, I'm not changing my message. My message is for male empowerment. Shout out to Mika G. Mika G is a good sister. I love sisters like Mika G, the Gail Lockett's, the Miss Parker Back to Basics, the Dr. O's, the Sweet Lulu Beans. These sisters are advocates for black men and black families and black community. We've seen that some of these women that come in these groups are nothing but agitators. They don't give a damn about male mental health. They just want a worker bee. They just want a drone. So if you want to unsubscribe because you don't like what I'm saying, take your ass on, because I'm not going to change my message. I'm not going to change it. I'm going to keep it pushing, because you're going to see that kosher fire coming out. I'm going to empower these men. And if they find wives abroad, damn it, so be it. If they find a good sister in America, then so be it. I'm gonna keep pushing the message until these black men are liberated, until they get 100% cooperation, because with no fault divorce, it's causing a lot of mental health issues to a lot of our black men. So it's time for our men to get empowered, because the black church is not empowering black men. True. You got so many men dragging their knuckles coming home at night. Well, I don't want to go in because I'm scared what my wife might say. Or a happy wife, happy life. I wish the hell a woman would try that on me. I wish she would. I wish you would, Chris.
Hell
Go ahead,
no.
brother. Go ahead. I'll get Bishop Bullwink on.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Man. And then Jedi Mike, you in the audience, man. Come up, man. You're a millennial. I want to hear your points, brother. Come on up, Jedi Mike. You're a good brother. I've seen you in these YouTube streets. I want to hear your perspective. But go ahead, brothers. Go ahead. Keep talking. Go ahead.
But yeah, I just want to say, shout out to the decent sisters out there, in the chat, out there, maybe listening from the cloud of stuff. We are real men out here looking for, a real woman that's cooperative, who knows her role, her God-given role. Like I said, it's important for us to, continuously push this message. And I know there's a lot of younger men coming up looking for answers and stuff, man. And, I'm just, thankful that, I find, brothers like you that push out this real truth, man, because it needs to get around. You know, it needs to stay on top, like consistently.
Oh yeah, I totally agree, man. That's why I do what I do. I mean, I take a risk when I do it because every time I do these shows, people get triggered. I don't know why. Because as I say, every man on this panel loves black women, but they're just saying they're not getting the outcomes they want with most American black women. So they're saying, you know what, I'm gonna either stay single until I get what I want, or I'm going to travel abroad. And the cognitive dissonance, guys, is due to a process called death. They deny the evidence. They become enraged when you present them with the evidence. They argue through what's called ad hominem attacks, where they attack the messenger instead of attacking the message. And then they fight you or they flee. That's classic cognitive dissonance called deaf. Kevin Samuels talked about sign language. Because I'm the coach clinician, I came up with a term called deaf. And they're deaf. And, you know, you heard the stories of Chris Strongheart. You heard the stories of Ty Maynard Cutler. You hear these millennials and zennial men telling their stories. But every time black men tell their stories, it's always a problem. You want to push them into silence because you are not mentally mature enough to hear and understand what men are saying. Men got to tap dance and tap around the discussion because, well, I don't want to offend nobody. You know, I'm scared. You know, nobody don't give a damn about that. It's time for black men to get liberated. It's time for us to start living our lives on our own terms and conditions. It's time for us to start getting with women that are going to follow our program. And if she can't follow our program, she will be fired. It's literally that simple. Because in clinical therapy, needs drive behaviors. And many times, most of these therapists are not more or less trying to empower men. It's always the man's fault. What could you have done to make her happy? No, what are you trying to do to make him happy? Because he's the first line of defense. What are you doing to make him happy? So that's why I do these shows. I know I'm gonna take a hit. I know I've already taken a hit today, but that's why I need you guys to push the message. I need every man that's listening, man and woman, to share the content. Because you know, when I do these shows, I'm gonna take a hit. And it's like I say, it's funny to me, man, but it is what it is. How many of you guys have been victims of negative assimilation? I'm gonna shut this chat down because my stomach is growling, and I'm hungry. I gotta feed the beast. I gotta feed the inner beast. But how many of you guys have been victims of negative assimilation based on your upbringing around toxic women?
Oh yeah, I've definitely seen it. Like, you know, I'm from St. Louis, so you know, they don't like masculine figures down there. The majority of them, anyway. They want men to be submissive.
Right.
They don't like the idea of a woman being submissive. You bring up submissive, you better hope she don't come from out the kitchen with some cookware on you. You know, so you grow up just more or less not trying to stir them up so you can still enjoy some time with them at night at times. And you grow up around that, man, and you kind of grow up thinking that's the way to go. Now, I've always been, I guess you would call, the black sheep. So I've always been like the type that, like, if she don't make me happy, then there's no happiness there. Like, I'm not going to be part of despair. I'm not going to be a part of that. So,
right.
I mean, I'll deal with the loss. You know, I'd rather take the loss than to take a fake win on any day. So, even sexually, this idea of how you have to, you know, I don't know where some people get this from. Like, you gotta bang her guts out right, blow her back out to get her right, to get her to submit. Like, see, I come from like the Hebrew space, and actually, you know, biblically, sex is marriage. If we really want to go there about marriage,
No, you're right. It is.
Facts.
It is
Facts.
marriage. You're correct.
I mean,
you're right. The Bible said you become one flesh. So you're correct. But Jedi Mike, you're a millennial, Cool Gent. I got some millennials and Genials in the house. This show is dedicated to Cool Gent 87. But before I allow Jedi Mike to talk, I want to send a shout out to my man Jay Akbar for the $20 cash app. Thank you, brother. I love you guys. Because like I said, the arrows are coming. They're hitting the big elephant in the room, which is me, the black elephant for Africa, that is. You see, they already damn cut my tusk off. They cut my damn tusk off. Man, so. But what do you get from this conversation, Jedi Mike? You know, I heard you on the leader turnout. I've seen you in Lapeef. You had a lot of clarity and insight, but you saw the young man take his life and the life of many women. You see the heteronormative masculinity is being downplayed. As a zennial, what are you getting from this conversation and the impact it can have on the psyche of a man?
First of all, it was a pleasure meeting you. I think I've been on a panel with you before. I think on with Security Boss, but
Yes, sir.
yeah, but it's a pleasure to meet you one on one and the other men in the panel. So I'm 23 years young, and I can just tell you that in terms of this generation, we know we're learning things backwards. Even though I know my name is Jedi Mike, I think for us men to prosper for survival's sake, we must, what Yoda said, you must unlearn what we have learned.
That's
Today,
true. Right.
today modern society we've been conditioned in terms of not, I won't say not prioritizing men, but also prioritizing what comes with terms of true masculine men, but edifying masculine men. I mean, not in terms of being heavily emotional, but also getting our priorities in straight. Which one of our priorities is our mental well-being, right? And I feel like with the situation that happened yesterday, this is just telling you that when you saw that video, every man knew. A lot, some women they didn't get it, but like they look at surface level, seeing the title, oh yeah, man murders ex-wife and ex-girlfriend, whatever. When you heard the sound of his voice, you heard the sound of a broken man. You heard the sound of a broken man, and this
Right.
the thing is that one of the things I said, characters I like, from like modern society is the Joker, right? And all of us as human beings, we're not that far from insanity or, from, flipping, and, losing control. We all can go insane and all it takes is just one bad day. And you heard the voice of a man who had several bad days, going through the failed system of what it is that obviously is not conditioned for us as men. So with that, I feel we have to have spaces like this to understand, knowing the situations we are getting ourselves into with marriage, also with the system of divorce court and stuff. But knowing that when you mess with the child of a man, you don't even know what will happen in terms of he can just snap just like that. And now I'm not saying he's not excused for not accountable for his actions, but
Right.
even like the lead attorney said, you can still be a victim and still be a murderer, right? And then in spaces, someone going through mental health, when they want to take themselves out, they might want to then bring others with them. That just,
Right, 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 right,
so
right, right, right. And a lot of times because you've been impacted by trauma, it's a condition called depersonalization. Sometimes they are aware, but they're not aware. They're in such a state of trauma, they just snap. They're in a state of rage.
mhm.
And
And yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to know just from some of my experience, just as black men in mental health spaces, because I've been watching your content. I've been very blessed to just receive knowledge from you,
Oh, I
just
appreciate
from
it,
your
brother.
background. Because for me, it's like I said, I mentioned this before on the Lapeep Network that I'm a two-time self deletion survivor, right? And one thing I can tell you is that one thing that the context of this situation is that a lot of us today we want to remove context from people from their actions, not knowing that that's actually the answer in terms of why the action happened in the first place. Removing understanding or removing the context of the situation, knowing the situation that led to him doing this in the first place.
Right.
And we never think ourselves as individuals. Take men out of it, just as individuals. We never think when we see someone in suffering state, oh, I'll never be in that position. I'll never do what he did. You can't say that because honestly,
Can't
this
say it,
life,
right.
this walk of life will teach you something. And I know, speaking of 23 years of age, I know I have to be very careful what I say because it's still, I can make it. Some people can make the argument that I haven't really lived life yet, and they're probably right. But still, I can just tell you that this walk of life will teach you a lot of lessons. So, in saying that comprehensions and the context of a situation, when you see someone else suffering, you might be one day tomorrow, might be in the same shoes that they have been in the day before when you're in the bystander's point of view and looking at them say, oh man, look at their actions, man. I will never do that. You can't say that because you might be doing that tomorrow.
That
Oh yeah, it's definitely the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, or what I would call the werewolf effect of everything. I kind of talk about this at my channel because everybody talks about the energy vampire, but what about this idea of an energy werewolf? Because the vampire obviously represents the narcissist, and the werewolf to me is the codependent, basically the one that gives versus the one that takes.
Mhm.
And after so long, you're gonna be in your deep depression, which is like equivalent to the full moon, and that's gonna make the beast come out.
that's
Mhm.
true.
Right.
And you know
Because
something
like
though, just
you,
to add on is that when a black man says that he's tired though, man, like a lot of women don't understand that, man. When we're tired, you know, because we all have a breaking point too. We all have a breaking point too.
hmm on that note, like I can say for my father, because he's 63 years old, that one thing I never knew, just him, like how he's a really quiet with sometimes with emotions and stuff, that when he comes from a long day hard of work, that he sits in his car in a drive through and might be there for maybe 20 minutes. And he's not doing that, just in silence in his car. And I question, like, why was he doing that? Now knowing that I'm working and I'm doing a lot of stuff now, I can realize that men that having that mental space of a long hard day of work, whatever, we need to prioritize our peace as men. So when you were talking about this whole thing, which the narrative that I was arguing on other platforms, when you hear about happy wife, happy life, and all that stuff, and in those situations that in the black community have been so implemented, uh, and really we're thinking, oh, that's just edifying saying. Really, I should not be walking on eggshells with someone who's my wife,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
And really it's a fear-based mindset, because I can just keep the same context when you say happy wife, happy life, and the same context of a woman is in an abusive relationship, knowing who's been with a man who's been physically assaulting her for years, and say, listen, if I just don't make him upset, everything, we have peace at the home. How is that you having peace as an individual? So so it's the same context. If I don't, if I'm walking on eggshells with someone in my own house that I'm paying for, that I'm providing for, that's not peace. But in the world of modern society, we're conditioned saying that's our reality.
Right.
I don't accept
Right.
that.
Right. Well, not only is a
Shouldn't.
negative assimilation, it's negative accommodation, because you're assimilating to assuage her, which is meaning taking new information to add to your mind. It's accommodation when you taking away something from yourself to more or less make her feel good. And then the last stage is adaptation. And that's what's wrong with a lot of men. A lot of men have been conditioned to be simps. They've been conditioned to serve. That's why most women don't respect American black men, because women want men that can lead. Women want a man to be masculine and strong. And that's why, like I say, I got sisters and daughters or whatever. But when I tell you to do something, you better do it, or it's going to be consequences. I'm not one of those men when my wife run my family. I run my household. I don't tolerate that goofy stuff
Exactly.
about I got to ask my wife. I don't ask my wife anything unless I feel like it's pertinent to the
Exactly.
mission. But I'm not gonna walk around where, well, my wife said no. I don't. Oh man, I get mad. I wish a woman would try that.
Get you heated, don't it?
Man, it gets me heated, man. I'd be like,
Get you
damn,
heated.
I'd be like Yosemite Sam. You know who Yosemite Sam is? I'd be like
You
Yosemite
know what I
Sam,
was
man.
thinking also, KC, you know what I was thinking also?
Go ahead, brother.
It even like comes down to our voice, the bass in our voice. Like just gets, even if you don't have a deep voice, like if you can start carrying it with more bass and authority, that'll wake them up again. Because I noticed the difference between, like, chicks that are used to guys that are always smoking on Zaza's. Hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? And then you come around, hey, how you doing? Just like really upfront, and she kind of like gets thrown off. But that's what they need. They need that that strength in that voice. So it's, I think, and what I mean by that is, you're gonna get a lot of them that don't like that, because that's like you try to be my father. Already had a father. I don't need you to be my father and all of that. And I was like,
Right.
I mean,
Well,
he gonna be a man.
They're not used to masculine authority. Some of it's not their fault. Some of these girls, it's not their fault. Some of these women are dealing with vicarious trauma. And guys, I'm gonna sign off in a few minutes. I gotta go. I got clients to see, and I gotta feed my big belly. I need to lose some weight. But this show was dedicated to Cool Gent. I did this for a reason. Shout out to my man Aaron Ferris from Black Man Travel. Shout out to Aaron Ferris. He said, "Why are you guys caught up? Why are you guys so caught?" I don't know if that's a troll. I don't know if that's Aaron or a troll, but Aaron don't talk like that. That doesn't make
That's
him a
not
black.
that's not Aaron.
That's not
Black
Aaron,
man.
right? Because
That's
Aaron
not
doesn't.
Aaron.
Yeah, black man. Yeah, yeah. And see, and guys,
Have him come up. Drop the link. Have him come on.
but she's dropped the link. But see, Chris, Rheology XM, Jedi Mike, Ty, Cool Gent, Chris. This is what happens when men start exercising their options because they're not used to it. Men are going through what's called the revolution. Alan Roger Curry talked about the beta male revolution. He talked about the beta male revolution, where men are beginning to say enough is enough. Even the beta males are saying enough is enough. And like I told you guys, I took a hit today because of this conversation. Didn't do nothing wrong. But because I'm advocating for black men to live their lives in their own conditions, folks get upset. But you know what? We're going to build our army one man at a time with the Jedi Mikes, with the Rheologies XM, with the Timena Cutners, with the Chris Stronghearts, and also with Cool Gent. We're going to build it one at a time. And the ones that are with us, they're going to rock with us. The ones that are not, they can keep it moving. And what you guys got to understand is that they have been negatively indoctrinated by liberal thoughts and ideas. And they don't know any better. That's why they want egalitarian relationships, where they say, anytime you hear a woman say partner, if she's not talking about, because there is no partnership if you're the man in your home. She can be your helpmeet, but partner means you're sharing power. God gave you the power. And so you guys got to be men in your families, man. You got to be the exemplars that are needed to carry on the mantle of masculinity. And I'm telling you guys, it's no need to fight because there's so many women out here. You know, you go to countries where like women, where Sweet Lulu Bean is at, South Africa. You can go to Brazil. You can go to wherever. Go where you're celebrated, man. You know, go where you guys are celebrated. Because, like I said, man, you know, it's needed. Shout out to my man Top Gun Kosher, my brother. Thank you for the $5 super chat. He's a Kosher, my brother. When the trolls hit, you know you're making progress. Right, we're making progress. We're making the devil mad. The devil gets mad when folks start saying we're going to do what's best for them. I'm going to liberate one black man at a time. And at some point, we're going to get some of these men married. We're going to get some of you guys married to some good traditional, conservative, submissive women. Not women that's going to challenge your masculinity as a man. You guys deserve the best. Like I said, this man took his life. He's gone. And how many men you think, how many guys y'all think care about this man's death? Do you think you have women complaining and protesting about that man's mental health status? They don't give a damn about that, man. They don't care about it. What would you guys would say? I'm starting with Cool Gent. And maybe I asked the question earlier, but I'm going down the list because I want to make sure I ask all the questions. This show is dedicated to you. But how has negative assimilation impacted you, Cool Gent 87?
As far as, can you give an example? Just to...
So as far as you deferring power as a man, that's to all the brothers. How have negative assimilation impacted you as a man as it relates to deferring power? And who taught you to defer that power? Was it your aunts? Was it your mother? Was it your sisters? Was it your environment? Was it your community? But how have negative assimilation impacted you guys? I saw the Cool Gent.
Okay. I probably would say my mother, though. I think I want to say my mother, though. But, you know, I know there was a time and place for everything for myself, you know, for me to become a man and stuff. Because growing up, I was always like wise beyond my years and stuff, man. And that I always knew I had, like, I know I was kind of different and seeing the world a little bit differently, though, man, you know, than from many others and stuff. So I knew there was a problem with this whole place growing up. But that's the best I can think of it, like, as far as like right now.
Okay, but, all right. In less than 2 minutes, Chris Strongheart, less than 2 minutes. I got a lot of questions. I have to go. How have negative assimilation impacted Chris Strongheart? And we know you're an intellectual, but in 2 minutes.
Well, see, the thing is, for me, I'm not going to sit here and try to make it sound like I had such a hard time with my mama or, you know, not even like my sisters or nothing like that. More or less for me, I actually saw a lot of chaos from my grandma, to be honest. Yeah, I saw a lot of chaos from my grandma. You know, growing up, me and my sis, you know, we did have to spend a lot of time with her, you know, back and forth. And, you know, to this day, we got parts of my family that we don't even associate with. You know what I'm saying? And you see so much of that matriarchal energy within, you know, most Black families. So for me, I had issues with my grandma, and then we in parts of the family, you know, we don't talk to her, associate with her. You know, growing up in, you know, when I was coming up in schools, that was more like in the hood or whatever. Like, you know, the Black girls they just had this complex where they would all click up, and then they would just like ostracize like the dudes they didn't like. Basically start identifying, you know, who was cool, who was a lame, who was square, who was the thug or the real ninjas. And you know what I mean? Just goofy stuff like that, that where you start to pick up those habits of, if you want the popular, you know, Black girls in school, then this is the type of standard that you need to be trying to follow. So that's where I think it started for a lot of brothers, was the indoctrination was in school. And the mindset of, you know, I'm attracted to this girl, she look good, and you know, she like the finest one in school, but these are the type of dudes she like. and then you start trying to acquiesce to that type of mentality that they put out for you to, or that rule book that they tell you to follow. And that's where a lot of the negative toxic behavior starts on you psychologically, and most men don't even realize that that's where it starts.
Todd Maynard Cutner, how have negative assimilation impacted you as a man? Real quick, briefly, in less than 2 minutes.
Yeah, so for me, I think that being a Black person in America, we grew up in a matriarchy, so I'm the same way. I had my grandfather in my life; he raised me part of my life. The thing is that I would say that I was not taught how to be the dominant person in a relationship. I never, even though I had my grandfather, I never seen him in a relationship. Right? He was always single for whatever woman he did have. I never seen him. So I never was taught how to take control. So giving up control or being the submissive person wasn't in my nature to do that. But how to go against the things that woman will do to make you that submissive person, or the crying or the shaming and things that they would do. They will play on the care that you have for them to get to win the battle or get their way, when their way hurts us both, right? And I can't see that because I'm not taught how to be the man, right? And that's the reason why things like this, channels like this, like stuff what I do, is like young men need to see these things in order to see how it means to be a man, even if they have a father. Because a lot of times you have a father, but the father submitting to the wife. You have men and uncles, but they've been submitted to their wife. I have men in my family, and I have issues with some of the men in my family because they're submitting, they're acting similar to women in their behavior and their conflict resolution, right? Where they want to hold grudges and they want to gossip and stuff like that. And it's like, I can't do that. It does not benefit us. The only way it can work is the man has to be in his right position. That's the only way it can work. There is no alternative to that, because the woman has to be in her right position. She's bred to be that. We're socialized, we're engineered. Our brain chemistry is for us to be in certain positions. It's not an opinion. We've been human for 300,000 years. We have to be in these roles, switching stuff around because we think something or we have an opinion. We messing up everything. The order is out of balance in this country when it comes to our relations with men and women.
Right. I totally agree. Rheology in less than 2 minutes. How have negative assimilation impacted you as a man? Real quick.
Overall, I just think it has impacted me because, one of the things I used to say back in my blue pill days is that a lot of them just don't want a real man. And it's in this, I used to talk like this way back in 2012. And so just fast forwarding now, nothing has changed. A lot has gotten worse. But of course, much love to the ladies that, still value masculinity. So shout out to all the ladies for that. But I would say, unfortunately, just to kind of summarize everything, last time I checked, 2 heads on the same body is a deformity. And that's pretty much it for me.
No doubt. Excellent. Real quick, Jedi Mike. How have negative assimilation impacted you negatively as a man? Real quick.
I can kind of say this coming from also my parents being pastors, how the church kind of really influenced that in terms of that, why kind of putting a negative assimilation, saying how men are supposed to be conditioned, which is why a lot of men are not really in the church today, especially in our community. But also I can just say in school, there have been a lot of situations, like I said previously in other platforms, how they want to kind of recondition in terms of the process that forged boys to be men. I was in Boy Scouts when I was younger, and now today, Boy Scouts is not the same anymore. And a lot of things that the processes that forge men are now being taken away. But one thing I also remember is with this is that when you're talking about what certain societies and conditions that kind of form us who we are, like there can't be no 2 kings in one kingdom. And especially when you hear things like talking about partnership, or we're co-captains. Well, listen, co-captains only happen in high school cheerleading. Even then they're in competition of power. You can just go watch Mean Girls and other or other stuff like that to show you. And no matter how much you want to debate this, and shout out to, I think it was named Image Coach, he was talking about this, that biologically there are things that we are conditioned to do, and things that as women they need to understand that there's things that they're not supposed to carry. Pressure's made for shoulders, not hips. So when you have the whole saying about when that we're supposed to be having the roles that we have to be, and we should not be competition with someone who's supposed to be our helpmate. That's not supposed to happen. And now I'm saying for both parts, we need to teach that, and knowing that the process of us forging us men to be from boys to men, but more importantly, from men to leaders, is that with that, you have to have the role to have to be the leader in the first place, but also have the conditioning and the mindset that that we're not being promoted to be leaders, that we're not being supported. And especially when you get to the point that this whole competition, this $1 million market that wants us men and women to be in competition with each other, we're not knowing that we're being pawns in this game of chess. But when we realize that, increase in self-awareness, I feel like we have to prioritize and have self-discipline on both parts of men and women to actually have a full edifying relationship. More importantly, knowing our place and our roles.
I'm going to ask all you guys a question, and either say yes or no, starting with Chris Strongheart. Real fast, I have to go. I got to go to the office in a minute. Got to cut these long streams down, man. These 3-hour streams killing me, man. I need somebody to edit these videos for me. But would you say, Chris Strongheart, and to the panel that are listening, they're laughing, they're sitting at the top, would you guys say you come in contact with more negative women or positive women? How many men would say they're coming in contact with more positive women versus negative women in your span of dating and relationships? Starting with Chris. If it's positive, say positive. If it's negative, say negative. Starting with you, real fast. Unmute yourself, brother. Unmute yourself.
Oh, okay, you got me. All right.
Yeah.
I was just saying, overall, I had to say, in terms of dating here, negative.
Negative. All right. Kujan 87. More positive or negative? What would you say, brother?
Most definitely more negativity and the downhill.
More negative, right? Okay. Time made a cut. More negative or positive? What'd you say, brother?
Yeah, more negative.
Damn, that's wild. Negative. That's sad, man.
Unfortunately.
Rheology, XM, what would you say, negative or positive?
Negative.
Wow. Jedi Mike, I think you're married, but more negative or positive?
I'm not married, not yet, but in a college setting, you already know the answer.
Wow. And you guys hear it, consensus. This is a small randomized sample. These brothers are from all stratas of the United States. Some are from North Carolina, some are from New York, some are from St. Louis, some are from, I don't know where. I'm from the Tar Heel State, of course, the greatest state in the union.
Yeah.
DMV, the greatest state in the union, by the way. Don't get it twisted. But with this small randomized sample, all of these brothers are saying the same thing. Now, I know what the trolls going to say. They say, well, maybe it's you. But I don't think it's them, because white men are saying the same thing, that Western women are horrible when it comes down to dating. I'll start with Chris. Real small, less than 1 minute. What was the worst relationship and the worst dating experience? Less than 1 minute. Less than 1 minute.
Less than 1 minute, man.
2 minutes, man. We know you're intellectual, man.
All right. Let's worst.
Give me a snapshot.
No.
She cheated on me with her. She cheated on me with my homeboy.
I usually delete that type of knowledge when, you know what I'm saying? When it's done, I usually just like, whatever. That was whatever. The worst one would have to be the one that ended in divorce, just to keep it. I mean, obviously, if you've been through marriage and divorce, I mean, nothing's going to top that. So, of course, going through a divorce is going to be, the utmost worst thing to actually have to deal with, because it hits you on different levels, especially when you have children involved. So,
all right. And it sounds like to me it was a power struggle, correct?
In terms of why we separated.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that had more to do with well, we were much younger, but that was in terms of her not really wanting to go by the program that I was trying to establish. But then again, on my side, I wasn't taught how to really establish your narrative or your priorities, your goals, and what it is that you need to be doing as a man anyway to be married. So all in all, I really got married too young, and I wasn't really trained on the art of how to establish my empire or what I wanted the narrative to be for our family. So it was like both of us were trying to lead, and we were like trying to snatch power back and forth from each other. Now add in a child on top of that. You know what I'm saying? So that was the ultimate deal breaker, was that we both were we both really weren't prepared. So we kept trying to fight back and forth with power and stuff like that.
Excellent, excellent. Cool Gen 87. What was the negative behavior that you experienced in your dating relationship in less than 2 minutes? Real quick.
I would say most a woman that was a Delilah, you know what I'm saying, a backstabber, manipulator, making me seem like I was the bad guy in a relationship, try to make herself look good. And I just wasn't dealing with it. I said it's just time to cut this off because it's not gonna go any further. And just to keep that toxic mindset going on and passing on, I was like, nah, I can't deal with that. I'm trying to protect my peace over here.
Excellent, excellent. Tom Maynard Cutner. One bad behavior you experienced that caused a relationship to dissipate. Real quick. That's 2 minutes.
Well, my I guess my worst experience was with my son's mom. She cheated on me. That ended that relationship. That was several years ago. Since then, I even now when I speak about her and I have a great relationship now. The reason why things went the way they did is because of me. My lack of understanding, my ignorance, my not understanding myself, me not keeping my eye on the prize in my life, allowed things like that to stay in my life. Those negative things, Now, moving forward as a man who understands women, who understands dating and relationships and my purpose, even though I have negative interactions or negative, I speak to women and they're having negative conversations when it comes to dating. Those women don't get entertained in my life. They don't get added at all. I don't even get this chance to see them, right? I weed them out before I even get a chance, before they even get a chance for me to pick them up, you know what I mean? Or whatever. And that's the reason why I do what I do. That's the reason why it's important to have shows like this. The men are the ones who can stop the women from doing what they do by simply getting ourselves to a position where we don't even look at them women.
Right.
We don't even look their way, no matter how beautiful they are, no matter that, because every single woman has a vagina. Every single one of them you can interact with in that way. You don't have to deal with the ones that have those type of minds.
Exactly.
You can only deal with the ones who have the minds who are going to help you progress in your goals. And we have to put our mission before anything else. This is why we are alive as men. We're not alive as men to be with women. We're not alive as men necessarily to have kids. We're alive to create whatever our big hands and problem-solving minds and muscles put us in place to do. So that's why life should be about first. Once that happens,
no doubt.
It's easy. Smooth sailing from there.
Called standards. That's what you're talking about.
It's called standards, no doubt. Shout out to my man Ben Jenkins for the $5 super chat. The U.S. has become a mind-altering country. To start a gender war to which a lot of black women are on board will weaken our race. I agree with you 100%, brother. Rick Rayology, XM, real quick, brother. What was the negative characteristic of the relationship that you had besides the woman calling you slow or whatever?
Ironically, after that, there was a older chick that I got around, and I guess she was kind of there to be a remedy, but she became more harm than good. It was like no matter what I did, it was never enough. And I wasn't even trying to rush into anything at the time because of what I just went through. So I said, you don't have to stay. She chose to stay. But what came with that was her now all of a sudden doing reverse psychology on me, saying that, well, I'm lacking patience. Do you want to be with me or not? And I'm like, I told you, you didn't even have to stay. I told you I'm still trying to heal. And ultimately, just try to still, get through that. And I thought she'd be more supportive. But one day she betrayed me. And it wasn't even like the act of her sleeping with another man is what hurted me. What hurted me more is her heart and her mind went elsewhere. That's what hurted me more than anything else. And I've never been betrayed before in my life, and that hit deep. Like I literally had to deal with suicidal things at that point because I just never. It's like for those who don't understand, when you get betrayed, you feel like you're the worst person in the world and you don't deserve to be here. You feel like
Facts, man. Definitely.
Yeah.
That's
Come
like-
on. Come on.
No, you're right, brother. Jedi Mike, Obi-Wan Kenobi said, use the Force, Luke. And there's more power. I did a show on that. Make sure you guys check it out with the lead attorney. I was talking about Return of the Jedi with your girl on The Empire Strikes Back with, what's her name, April Mason. But the dark side is more easier and it doesn't take discipline. But Ty's talking about being on the light side of the force. I want you to talk about in less than 1 minute a negative altercation or a characteristic that you saw in dating American women, real fast.
I can say where you can actually be a Jezebel in disguise, in terms of exhibiting traits of where, like use manipulation, which is a skill you can use for for positive or negative traits. In terms of women able to manipulate situations to go in their way, but when we have conflict and we have an accountable discussion, then either you start crying or you start saying, "Oh, you make me do this," and start deflecting responsibility. Then there's come to a point where it's almost you're kind of projecting your insecurity, you're projecting your insecurity onto me when I'm supposed to be as a whole man before I even got with you in the first place. So I think individuals where it's like they want to come in and try to be like, "Oh, you made me do this way. Why? You made me do this, whatever." And I'm just want to have an accountable conversation. And, you start using the tactics of crying or like to, when we talked about having two people in a relationship where, when we have a conflict, it stays between us. But when they like to tell their girlfriends and try to get a posse around and really not having a more of a accountable discussion, then they think, "Oh, well, I have this posse around who's on my side," when this conversation should have stayed in this room. So I think using those traits to try to manipulate situations to go in their favor, that's what I had happen in the past. But yeah.
Excellent. Real quick, we got one more, and then we're gonna shut it down in a minute. Starting with Chris Strongheart, what should your dad have told you about women to reduce pain in less than 1 minute? In less than a minute.
Oh, that's very simple. Don't believe what they say, watch what they do.
Excellent. I like that, no doubt.
Facts. I mean, that's essentially the building block to where most men will get so wrapped up in, "Oh, but she said she would never do that. Oh, she didn't tell me this, and well, she told her girlfriend." But where is she at though? You know what I mean? Let it come time for All-Star Weekend to come around, and she has every excuse to go to. I think last season it was down in Atlanta. She got every excuse to go down and visit her auntie in Atlanta. But you know what I'm saying? We just gonna act like it's not All-Star Weekend going on. You know what I'm saying? They'll do little stuff like that, and then how homegirls will try to co-sign for her and create this whole thing about where she's at and what she's doing. So if there's one thing, you know what I'm saying, that I will be teaching my son as well is damn what she said. Watch what she does, because what she does is going to tell a lot about what she's really thinking.
Yes,
so
sir.
I'd say that's the biggest thing.
No doubt. I totally agree. Cool Gen 87. What should your dad have told you about females the women that will have reduced pain for you as a man in less than 1 minute?
I'm sorry about that. I caught a little bit, like you said, one more quick second.
What should your dad have told you about women that will have reduced pain for you as a man in less than 1 minute?
Basically just always use discernment though, which that's what I use now. So I had to learn that growing up. So that's always a definite thing to use, when you come contact for a woman though. Always use discernment, because you never know like what she may have, what kind of baggage or whatever. So yeah, that's my take on it.
All right. Time in the cut. What should your father have told you or your grandfather have told you about women that will reduce pain for you in less than 1 minute?
This is the 3 mistakes that I tell guys on every call that I get on. I spoke to over 1,000 guys. These 3 mistakes they make. 1, they trying to make women happy. You can't make women happy, so don't try to do that. 2, they men believe that the woman is the prize. She is not the prize, because you bring way more to the table. She's going to require you to bring more to the table, so you're bringing more, so you're the prize. And 3, men don't leave regardless of whatever the woman does. They won't leave her, right? And you have to leave, because if you don't, you're just making things worse, right? So
excellent.
I wish my grandfather would have just showed me these things, right? And I would have been a lot better off.
Well, I'll say I created a term, Ty, called the prize catcher. And I'm going to do a show on that Saturday, guys, and nothing will happen. I think the woman is the prize only if that man deem her to be a prize. The man is the prize catcher. He catches her if he see her as being prize worthy. But that man must see her as being prize worthy based on his expectations as a man. And so I'm going to do a show called Return of the Prize Catcher, because men have to determine what they deem prize worthy, but that comes with values and standards. But that's a great point, Ty. Real good. Real quick, Radiology XM, what should your dad have told you that will have reduced pain and hurt? Real quick.
Know her more before you show her more. And that is a great multitude of everything. That includes even sexually explicit sides of yourself. Don't show her more if you don't even know her more. You know, like you showing a very intimate side of you, whether physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and financially. And you have to know her to like different levels and degrees to where um, you can be able to show her that and she can fully appreciate it. Even in tough times, you'll know that she's the type that's not going to be so quick to leave. And that's not to even have an expectation of her staying, but it's just more or less if you have a process or a method to your madness, if you will, like she'll be actually more conditioned to the way you do things and she won't be so quick to leave. So
Excellent.
yeah, know her more before you show her more.
Before you show them more. Right. Almost like the old bait and switch. Jedi Mike, real quick, because we need to bring balance to the force. Because the dark side is easy. We need to bring balance to the force. You know, because I'm the black version of I'm Black Yoda. But what should your dad have told you that he didn't tell you that will reduce pain as it relates to relationships? Real quick.
One thing he always say, guard your heart. But the second thing he also said was something that Shannon said when our episode with King Talk, that women will encourage you to drink, but then call you at the same time an alcoholic, right? So you have to understand that as men, we are required to be self-disciplined and knowing that regardless of any situations that they might want to snare us into, but then hold us accountable for, we have to be self-disciplined where we cannot be, you know, when she's up high, we have to remain frame, not only for our sake, but for her sake as well as leaders.
Well, you know, that's the Eve complex. Eve did it. She was good at it. She was good at doing it. And then once she, you know, convinced Adam to let it bite of the forbidden fruit, she blamed him for it. And they're going to always blame you. I don't give a damn if it's good or bad. They're going to always blame you unless she's a mature woman. Shout out to Jay Daniels for the $5 super chat. That's why BM, save yourself, black man. This is the last question, guys. This has been a great show. And my DJ force is 1 minute after the hour, 4 o'clock. Bring it to you live from the greatest state in the union, the Tar Heel state. But this is one question that I'm going to ask you guys. And I think I already know the answer. But I'm going to start with the young crab. Young crab, are modern women salvageable? Can they be saved? In less than 1 minute, young crab, because I got to get out here. I'm hungry.
Modern women salvageable. All right. Well, first of all, let me just run it down real quick. I'm just going to, first of all, give my opinion on the fact that I feel like the community is dead anyway. I feel like we don't have a community. I feel like we have some men who are in the right place who want to work together and try to build something. Other than that, I feel like community is dead because it's leading us to destruction. Are modern women salvageable? I'm not in a position, or I'm not in the mind state to try to save them. I don't care. You know, they decided that this is the path they wanted. They decided to partner up with white women way back in the day and decide to choose the government over having black men in their households. Therefore, I care not what they do. You want to, this is what you want, single, independent, don't need no man, boss, bitch, CEO, and all that good stuff. Excuse my French. All that good stuff that you wanted, guess what? You got it. This is equality, honey. Enjoy it. So for me, I don't care about saving none of them. Will they turn it around? I highly doubt it. You know what I'm saying? Not till they understand their ultimate and complete destruction of themselves. And that requires what we call accountability. And then when are we going to start seeing accountability out of most of them? Oh, I'm not waiting around to see that day. I've already made my decision. So
I like that, man. That's an excellent expose for young crab.
Yeah.
That's
So-
an excellent expose. I like
Yeah,
what you said.
I'm not waiting around. So if some of them who do understand what time it is, outstanding, you know, salute to y'all. But for the majority of you and your sisters, nah, you're done.
No doubt.
You're
Cool
done.
Jim, 87, real quick, brother. Is the modern woman able to be saved? Is she salvageable?
Man, I'm gonna be totally honest though, man. Right now and where we're going right now to 2022, no, not at all, because too much it's too much of a GMO society right now. You know, they've been, you know, intoxicated by, you know, social media, you know, which honestly I think it puts like a death to relationships, makes it more obsolete here in the States. That a lot of them, truth be told, are not really marriage material. they hate the word submissive because it's a curse word to them. They don't like submissive to the man. They would choose, you know, Zaddy's power, the government's power over having a man in the home who can lead, you know what I'm saying, protect and provide. You know, because if you can go to a boss every day, listen to them, why can't you not listen to your husband?
I like that, man. That's excellent. That's a good answer, and I agree with you. Time ain't a cutting real fast. Is the modern woman salvageable? Can she be saved and redeemed?
No, the modern woman will have to become a traditional woman. So I focus on modern men, right? Focus on modern men. The men who are coming up, we focus on them. Make sure that they don't start straying away of the modern women to try to get the modern woman. Don't play her game. Don't dance on her dance floor. Leave that floor. Go do what you got to do. Because there's brothers here going to help you do the proper way, right? Nobody's going to train you the way of the woman. The way of the woman is not a secure, static way. It's up, down like the weather is, right? They can play in that field. That's not what a man does. So I focus on modern men, keeping them away from becoming modern women, which is what's happening to some of our men.
No doubt. Excellent point, brother. I agree with that. Rheology XM. And guys, if you have not donate, please donate. But also, I got a good friend of mine that made my fleece, the kosher clinician. Check out my man, Ground Hard, Sleep Less. I'm going to get his number. If you guys want to make some orders from Ground Hard, Sleep Less, check him out. Upscale stuff. Also, check out Chris Strongheart. He's an artist. He does designs as well. But real quick, Rheology XM, real quick, brother, is the modern woman salvageable? Can she be saved? Or should men become SYSBM, go their own way, focus on themselves, and focus on getting wives that are going to meet their outcomes? Real quick, Rheology XM.
Ooh, that's a loaded question, and I'm going to keep this short, sweet, to the point. Now, you say salvageable, saved. Two different words, two different scenarios.
Right.
So we're going to stick with the salvage side of it instead of the save side of it. Basically, to salvage something, it has to already be worth, like it has to already have still some value to it. It has to not be so worn out. So it can't be damaged beyond repair to where it can't be salvaged. There's only a few of the modern day feminine that are like that. You know, you think of salvage, you think of salvation. So it's beyond save at this point. But the salvage, only a few of them are even worth the salvage here as the modern day, because you know a lot of them ain't even for the streets no more. A lot of them are for the scrapyard.
That's facts, man.
Wow. And you know, it's sad, man, because you know, this is a qualitative analysis. This is a randomized sample. It's a randomized sample. And you hearing these guys, Chris is from North Carolina, Texas. He's from all around. I think Cool Jen, where you from, brother?
I'm from Tennessee.
You're from Tennessee. Ty's from Brooklyn. He's from Brooklyn in the house. Rheology is from St. Louis. And Jedi Mike, where you from?
I'm from Virginia.
Virginia,
I'm in Virginia right
DMV.
now. Yeah, right next to Uncle Stu. And,
right, and so you guys got a small randomized sample. They're all saying the same thing. And so, you know, to talk when he said to the trolls that you hear that, right? And you guys all hear the same thing. These brothers are saying they don't feel like they're salvageable. And it's sad, you know. I don't know why people get mad, because I'm trying to liberate these men and make them happy. You know, they can't find what they want. Like the Ingram experience says, relationship capitalism. You go where you're celebrated versus being tolerated. Don't be with a woman that feels if she cook you a meal, you're a slave. Just leave it alone. Focus on women that love to cook for you. There are women that love to cook for their man. Chris will tell you, he dated women abroad. If you get in the kitchen and try to cook, they'll kick you out of the kitchen.
Yeah,
because they love, right, they love cooking for their men. So Jedi Mike, is the modern woman salvageable? Can she be saved? Can she be redeemed?
Well, I want to kind of resort that question in terms of, can, you know, anybody be saved? You know, you want to talk in the religious sense or salvation?
No. Just in the religious sense, she definitely can be with the spirit. But I'm talking about this from relationship.
No, but I'm saying it's the same answer. Really, it starts with a choice, right?
Right.
I think that, you know, we as men, and I make this mistake currently too when I'm in discussions trying to have conversations with somebody, because I had background in debating and, and mediating and stuff. So when I'm trying to get through somebody, I'm have experience dealing with difficult people. But again, it's their choice to willingness to receive knowledge and choose not to be ignorant. And it's funny that a lot of us men today, we want to be put in this Jesus or Superman position, where we're supposed to be saving them. So but it's funny when we're put in this position to be, Black Superman, but yet accountability is their kryptonite. Right. So it's kind of, it's kind of like a double-edged sword where it's like, you want to have your cake eat it too, is that, you want the savior, but yet was actually the point of actually having self-accountability is one, admitting there's a problem in the first place. But that starts with self-reflection, and I always say, be like Michael Jackson, start with the man in the mirror. But even in this case, look at the woman in the mirror, but yeah.
Well, listen, guys, this has been another powerful show. Damn shows always go over. I'm gonna have to start cutting these shows at 2 hours, man, because I start getting to talking. But it's a good show. I love the brotherhood, guys. I took a hit today, so Jedi Mike, I need you to share the content. Reality XM, I need you to share the content. Ty Maynard Cut, I need you to share the content. Cool Gent, thank you. You got Reality up here for me. Reality, I need you to come back on again. I love you and Cool Gent, man. You guys drop some gems. Young Crab, I need you to share the content, guys.
All day.
Absolutely.
Guys, this has been another good show. You guys can either be like Marvin Gaye and choose to suffer in silence, or you can be like the American Brazilian and have a happy smile on your face. Christmas time is here. Love yourself, gents. Focus on yourself. SYSBM, save yourself, black man. Until you get the woman that can follow your program. And if you can't find her, you got to let her go. So, guys, it's been another great one. And we're about to sign off. I'm going to run this commercial real quick, and then, guys, you guys can drop down, and then we're going to end this show, all right? Thank you guys for donating. Thank you to all the gents that came on. Much love and blessing. And we're about to sign off. Hold tight if I can find it. Here we go. All right, guys.
Tell them run it off. I wake up. Yeah. I wake up, flex, I'm down now. Check, no drip this. Wet. Tell them run it up. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I stretch. Tell them run it up. I wake up, flex, I'm down now. Check, no drip this. Wet. Tell them run it up. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I stretch. Tell them run it up. 9 out of 10 roll through my hands, I'm by my lonely. Turned to a savage, now my baby wants to hold me. I love my fans, don't need no friends, I got my homies.
It's an early December morning. No one but we are. We look out the window as it's starting to snow, and I realize as you hand me the door, we got by. Falling just like these snowflakes, tumbling down, round and round. I'm falling just like these snowflakes, falling for you, falling for you. Hadn't counted on love for Christmas. This forever in your arms, and for this moment to last, because I'm falling just like these snowflakes, tumbling down, round and round. And I'm falling just like these snowflakes, falling for you. I'm falling for you. I'm falling for you. Just like these snowflakes, tumbling down, round and round. I'm falling for you. Just like these snowflakes, falling for you. Yes, it's true. I'm falling for you.
Sleigh bells ringing, diamonds blinging, carols singing, favorite season. Sleigh bells ringing, diamonds blinging, carols singing, favorite season. They said Saint Nick, but you got a bit in that bag, yeah. I got racks in my sack or in my bag, yeah. They said Saint Nick, but you got a bit in that bag, yeah. I got racks in my sack or in my bag, yeah. I'm frozen, neck is frozen, catch me rolling, I'm the chosen. Snow is falling, Elfie's calling, check my list twice, most of y'all done. Sleigh bells ringing, diamonds blinging, carols singing, favorite season. Sleigh bells ringing, diamonds blinging, carols singing, favorite season. They said Saint Nick, but you got a bit in that bag, yeah. I got racks in my sack or in my bag, yeah. They said Saint Nick, but you got a bit in that bag, yeah. I got racks in my sack or in my bag, yeah. Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, and Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donner, and Blitzen. No, I can't forget about the one with the red nose. When I fly high, my sleigh still stay 10 toes. Bring the beat, bring the trees, put the lights up. 'Tis the season. Need no Grinch types, no Ebenezer. Don't believe this. Y'all need Jesus. Sleigh bells ringing, diamonds blinging, carols singing, favorite season. Sleigh bells ringing, diamonds blinging, carols singing, favorite season. They said Saint Nick, but you got a bit in that bag, yeah. I got racks in my sack or in my bag, yeah. They said Saint Nick, but you got a bit in that bag, yeah. I got racks in my sack or in my bag, yeah. They said Saint Nick, but you got a bit in that bag, yeah. I got racks in my sack or in my bag, yeah. They said Saint Nick, but you got a bit in that bag. I got racks in my sack or in my bag. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Hold up, I am on my way, I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing. Yeah, isn't that amazing? In Christmas times, we'll be chilling and having a good time. Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the windows in the rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas in my heart. But this year I wanna hang out with my friends and family, making angels in the sanctuary. Doesn't matter, it is Christmas in my heart. And I can promise Santa's coming to visit. No, he wouldn't miss it. good, good time. Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the windows in the rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas in my heart. But this year I wanna hang out with my friends and family, making angels in the January. Doesn't matter, it is Christmas in my heart. Here we go. All right. Dance, dance, now this Christmas, we're gonna dance. We're gonna dance, dance, dance. Come on. Dance. We're gonna dance, dance, have a good time. Dance, dance, all night long. We're gonna dance, dance, and have a good time. I think Santa's gonna come and join us in this song. Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the windows in the rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas in my heart. But this year I wanna hang out with my friends and family, making angels in the January. Doesn't matter, it is Christmas in my heart.
Carols being sung, it's Christmas. The fire crackling gently all the while. Snow is falling down, guess everything's just right. But I'll be wishing you were here with me. Everywhere I go is Christmas. Our town filled with wonder and delight. The season to rejoice brings everybody close. But I'll be missing you right next to me. Feels kinda lonely when you're a million miles away. But maybe there's a star to lead the way. 'Cause I wanna hold you when Santa's